Welcome to the
Stateside Podcast.
This week's guest is Alan Ashcraft.
Ashcraft.
He is the lead art design for Rise Records. Really interesting conversation. It's good to hear a different take on the music industry and how you can find your happy corner.
A lot of good advice in it.
A lot of good advice. Really good conversation.
Ashcraft.
Take it away, Andrew.
So you get some spaceship sounds.
We have the technology.
His parents stopped buying Hot Pockets and downgraded to corn dogs, literally because of me.
A kid has never even crossed my mind. Really? Never. I never want one still. My
That
parents.
just happened.
That's what everybody says, but
You say it about getting married too, Neil.
Yep. I don't want to. It's not because I want to whore around or anything.
You have a
It's just-
long-time girlfriend, right?
No, not really. We're probably at just under a year at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had a 7-year relationship, and then since then it hasn't been really longer than probably a year.
Oh, okay, cool.
I feel good about this one though.
Love it.
Yeah, so.
Make sure we're up in it, up close to the mic. We going, Andrew? Cool.
How's this?
That's good.
Is this good?
Hi, Alan. Thanks
Hello.
for coming on the Stateside Podcast.
Absolutely,
we appreciate
thank you for the invite.
it.
I haven't seen you in probably 7 years.
It's been a while. Well, no, because you were, and you're gonna feel really bad now.
Uh-oh.
You were at the studio when Fireside was in with Crummett.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yep.
So, I mean, we
Oh,
didn't hang
good.
out or anything at that point,
Right.
but
And I was, Crummett kept me very busy.
Exactly,
I don't remember any of my time there.
yeah,
really.
it was all
It's just a blur.
all the interactions were brief.
Right.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Alan and I have talked on the phone quite a bit,
Yeah.
but this is probably the first time I've seen you in a couple years at least.
Yeah, it's been a while because
Yeah.
I missed Crummett's pool party over the summer.
Right.
Okay.
And then any other function that he had.
Yeah,
in the
they are
last,
pretty legendary. You got to make it next
Yeah,
year.
I was at the two before
amazing.
that, and I don't remember it at all. Everyone else remembers and tells me the stories, but it was.
Well, then I
bad
probably
news.
probably
They're
saw you
pretty
at a
accurate.
couple of those too, but I also
Yeah.
don't remember any of them.
Yeah,
So-
they were brutal.
Well, for the listeners, as it were, can you give a quick 2-minute bio of just who you are, where you come from, what you do at Rise?
Yeah.
Just kind of the quick story.
I started playing drums in 2014. Did the high school band thing. Got in a serious band. Shortly, actually, did I say 2014? I don't think that's correct. My math is all
Had to
messed
been
up.
before that.
I
yeah.
started playing in 2005.
You're a graphic
Gotcha,
designer,
gotcha.
not a
I know.
There we go.
mathematician.
Yeah. And then, the graphic design probably started then.
Right.
Yeah, and then just a bunch of just kind of silly bands, just trying to figure it out. I was in a band 2 months after starting my instrument, so it was just a real
Right. Just
awkward,
jump in the pool, even though you don't know how to
trial by
swim.
fire,
Yeah.
go.
That's the way to do it.
And then as I started to get a little more proficient and kind of respect the instrument and music and all of that, got into a more serious band. We did our thing, got signed to a label, kind of did what everyone at that age and at that point wants to do, which is be a huge rock star and all that. And then the realities of just the situation, touring, the industry, whatever, those kind of hit. You get tired of being broke.
Right.
And then I happened to pick up a craft in graphic design just out of necessity because my band needed some stuff.
Yeah.
And we were all, once again, broke, so we couldn't afford to pay a professional. And even if we had the money, we didn't. Where do you go for that,
Right.
So I kind of figured that out and then did the music/design thing kind of in tandem for a while. And the band thing kind of faded out a little bit, and I wanted to make money, so went around trying to apply for legit design jobs while freelancing, and kind of came up short in a couple areas, and then just kind of fell back on freelance because of it.
Yeah.
And then just kind of in connections to the music world and all of that, ended up landing a job as I think it was just graphic designer at first at Rise.
Okay.
And I worked under an art director. I want to say I wasn't there for very long, and he had left, and then I filled that position, and I've been there for, I I think 3 years in July.
What's the actual title?
Just art director now.
Art director.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's rad, man. You're still doing freelance on the side too.
yeah,
right?
yeah. Whenever the thing, Rise keeps me really, really busy. So
Sure.
it has to be something that a lot of the times it's like hookups for friends. I have a friend that's starting a yoga studio,
Right.
and I'm like, okay, she has
Right.
no idea what she's doing.
Right.
She sends me a picture of like a sketch and says, can you make this not suck? And then I do my best. I'll put like 20, 30 minutes into it
Right.
in between other projects. So it's
rad.
helping friends out a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it's kind of like, it's similar to what I'm doing where, yeah, I grew up playing drums just like you did, playing in bands. And then over time, I realized, I mean, I love playing in bands. I love being creative. I get all that. I love it. I never won't. But I also don't want to disappear in a van for a month at a time, 7 months out of the year with 3 smelly guys.
Exactly.
Like, it's just not in the cards
Only
for me
3?
anymore. Or 4.
I've toured with 10.
Yeah.
in a
Yeah,
van.
that's a good point. There's that's right.
Sometimes
Even more
3
than
feels
4,
like
right.
10, depending on who those 3 are.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be brutal.
Well, if you're in a van with Stephen Hawks,
I can
that's
see that.
pretty
Yeah.
nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, the excitement just wears off. At
Yeah.
first, you're like, ooh, adventure. And, like,
Sure.
for me, I grew up in an incredibly small town. And I'm from the area, but I grew up in Brush Prairie, which is,
Oh my
it's
god.
literally like a mile long. It's Caples Road. And you get onto Caples
Right.
Road, it says, welcome to Brush
It's
Prairie.
a road.
As soon as you're off Caples Road, it
Is
says,
that
thanks
Eastern
for...
Oregon? Whereabouts?
No,
is
that's so it's just a little bit north of Vancouver, but a little bit south of Battleground. Brush Prairie likes
okay.
to bleed into Battleground. No
that?
one knows.
Washington State.
Yeah, if I
Copy
want to
that.
tell anybody where that area is, I normally say Battleground, and they go, "Oh, okay."
Gotcha.
But Brush Prairie is just this tiny blip, just kind of between Vancouver and Battleground.
Right.
And I had never seen. I mean, other than the Portland area for shows and stuff, I didn't. I mean, when I first started, Portland to me was like Broadway. Being
Right.
like,
Oh, yeah,
like
me too.
Vancouver, Brush Prairie. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
how do we get a show at the Paris
It's
Theater?
like Manhattan.
Like that would be.
Yeah.
We just got to break into Portland,
Right.
Oregon. It's
Right.
just so silly.
Sure.
So then when you go to tour and you can go see the full country, I'm like, oh my god. So then not really eating or not showering,
Oh,
not
yeah.
sleeping well,
Oh, yeah.
all those things, they don't really bug you at first.
No, not when you're 21.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about your mortgage and your wife back at home and
Yeah,
Right?
that's why it's the perfect time
It's
to
a
do
little different.
it. I have
Yeah.
buddies that are touring right now at 30 years old,
It's
and that to
brutal.
me is more impressive
Brutal.
than anything I've ever done at all because you
my hat's
couldn't-
off to him.
You know how much you would have to pay me to do that now?
Oh my god.
It'd
I know.
be so much money.
Yeah, like look, I mean, I follow Josh Freese on Instagram. You know who he is,
Yep.
the drummer, mercenary
Yeah,
drummer
he's
for
a
hire,
monster.
a monster, yeah,
So
a
good.
beast.
Yep.
And he's like my fucking hero.
Mm-hmm.
But look, he's touring with Sting right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little different. Like,
It's
yeah, where do
very
I
different.
sign up?
Yeah.
Cool, it sounds
Yep.
fucking great. But
Oh my god, absolutely.
I mean, so anyway, now that we just complained about how fucking much of a pussy we are,
Yeah. Everyone feel bad for us, all of our adventure
Yeah.
and excitement.
But no, I love
Seeing the world. and
But I
everything,
love
yeah.
that story. I love that you're like, look, I love music. I love the industry. I love this corner of the world. How do I find my little pie? My piece of that pie. How do I
Exactly.
get involved without
Mhm.
having to be, a smelly van guy for the rest of your life?
Absolutely. That's why the
great.
Rise Records gig is so awesome because before Rise, I remember because I was a security officer at a community college for like 8 years.
Oh wow.
And it was a fantastic job in that I would show up, I'd get in a golf cart, I'd roll around a campus in it for like 4 to 5 hours, get paid way too much money per hour.
Yeah.
Like I was making more than Vancouver police at that point.
Jeez.
And not getting shot at and not dealing with
Sure, of course.
insane people. But it was perfect because if I needed to leave for tour, they were really cool about it. I always had a job when I came back, a
Yeah.
well-paying job that was super easy. If I worked like a graveyard shift, I'd take my MacBook to like a secluded part of campus and just freelance while I was at the campus. So I'm just making money while I'm making money. It was
Right.
awesome.
Making it work.
Yep. But at some point, I was like, I got to go get like a legit design job. And I had applied at like trucking companies and I applied at like a restaurant just to like be their menu brochure guy.
Yeah.
And I got like laughed out of interviews because I think they could smell the disinterest on me where I'm just
Right.
like, I'm here to apply for this job that I really don't want.
I just don't want.
I just want the money
Dude,
and I
that's
know how to design.
huge. That's
Yeah.
huge.
I just hated it. I
You
just
just hated
didn't.
it.
Didn't care.
Zero passion for it.
Yeah,
And
ever
they can
since
smell that a mile away.
absolutely, and ever since elementary school, if I wasn't interested in something, people thought I had like a learning disability because I
Dude,
just
That is so. That's exactly how I am too.
I just didn't care.
I know. I just didn't care.
Legit didn't care.
I
Wouldn't
mean,
try.
I was such a little fucking asshole when I was younger.
Yeah.
I mean, partly because I was an asshole. I still am. But,
Yeah.
you know, it was like every job I had, it was just a struggle.
Yep.
School, I fucking hated.
Exactly.
And
Until-
then you were told that you were a piece of shit because
Yeah,
of
you're
it.
told you're a piece of
When
shit.
in
'cause
reality,
you're not
if you
good at
actually
math and,
get something that you're passionate about, you
Yeah.
fucking kill it.
and then, you know, then I'd cross the hall to the other side of high school and I go play in marching band, jazz band, and symphonic, and like,
Mhm.
oh, there's James.
Yeah.
Oh, he actually likes that. Right? And it's like,
100%.
you know, that whole personality and mentality has certainly crossed over in our adult life, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. Because I was known, I mean, Jesus, in my, like 17, 18, well, I got expelled from my high school for just not showing up. Because I had my license at, I think, 17.
Right.
And I had this Ford Bronco that I still think about. It was a 94
Is
Ford
it a
Bronco.
white Ford Bronco?
No, I wish. It
Not
was
the
black.
O.J. Simpson
It
stuff?
was black. It was the
By the
shit.
way, he got released from prison, and we will talk about
He
that.
did. Yeah, absolutely. I saw a little something on that this morning.
My God.
And I would,
The juice is loose.
since I had wheels, my mom and my stepdad that I lived with, they would go to work. So I was essentially home alone all day if I wanted to be.
Right.
So it was my own schedule. I would wake up. I would wait until noon. I would just play Tekken until noon. And then at noon, I was like, my friends are at lunch at school, which the school was, once again, small town. It was 500 yards, like, from my front door. So I'd hop in the car. I'd bomb up there. I'd shoot the shit with them for half an hour, and then I would leave. And that was, I did that, like, every day of senior year. And then one day, I no shit woke up, and I was like, yeah, I got to turn my life around, and I got to be
Start
a student.
going to school.
Yeah. So
Right.
I go, and of course, on that day that I choose to turn my life around, I'm late. So I got to go and go to the office and go, I need a note because it's second period now. And they go, yeah, you're not in our system.
Right.
And I was like, why not? And they're like, you've been expelled. Like, you've missed too many days. It's April. Like, you should have turned your life around 3 years ago.
Wow.
This is way. So I was like, okay. And I got a job, like, within a week of that, I think, at, like, it was a terrible, I was putting together pressure washers for, like, $8 an hour. It was horrible, but
Right.
it was, for me, this, like, liberating moment of, like, okay, school's behind me. And I ended up getting my GED, and
Right.
everything's been fine since then because now I don't have to focus on, you know, my senior year we were coloring maps of country, like all of the states. They'd be like, okay, color every state a different color. Make sure you color the water blue. And I'm 17 years old, and I was like, this is a waste of my time.
Just waste your time.
I don't care about
I don't
this.
care.
And now it's just, what do you care about? Go chase that. Go
Right.
do that. And
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just
School-
motivated all the time because of it.
Yeah, school never made sense to me. I mean,
Me
there's
neither.
like
I hated
stuff
it.
like that, and there's like so much stuff that, like when I went to college, I went to Full Sail, and the very first day of orientation, the dude came out and was just like, "Forget everything you've ever learned up to this point. We're gonna
Right.
start over."
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like-
Well,
it's-
I mean, that's actually a really interesting thing. It's like, you know, because you always hear people say, follow your passions.
Right.
Well, that's not entirely accurate because it's
No.
your journey, your journey, and my journey, and everyone else here for that matter. It's a little bit different. It's like, yeah, follow your passion, but what's your skill set and your natural, what are you good at within
Right.
that passion,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you were to just follow your passion, you'd be sitting here telling me you're a drummer in a band and you're, you know, stinking it up with a bunch of
we'd be
farty
playing
guys in a
Fallout,
band.
is
Yeah.
what we'd be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you did, you're like, oh, I got the skill set that's graphic design. I'm naturally gifted at that. Image-based stuff, art design. I'm good at that. This is
Yeah.
how I get involved in my passion that is music as a whole.
Absolutely. Plus, I think it's so
I
important.
think that's a huge thing for people to
Yeah, that's
to remember.
massive, as well as just being open to not knowing what it is you want. Like, as a kid, everyone in my class could draw, and I couldn't. So
Right.
the idea of design, that was never going to happen. I didn't realize that I could just chill, get my creative output via music, and then with graphic design, you know, I start getting into Photoshop and realizing that there's different types of art. There's photo manipulation. You don't
There's
necessarily have to
different tools.
yeah, you don't have to draw, scan, and then, you know, rescan and redraw. And there's different avenues, and that was huge for me. That was a kind of an epiphany type moment where I knew I had a way that I could take that vehicle and make something of myself with it. Do something that I enjoy.
Right.
Which is, I mean, since my mom will tell you, since I was 6, I was always looking for a way to not work. Like, I just wanted to avoid the status quo.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't want to do my chores. I didn't want to do math homework. I didn't want to read a book. Like,
Right.
it's
It's not because you're lazy. It has.
Right.
It's actually quite the opposite.
Mhm.
It's a focus of the brain.
Yeah.
Like the things that I love. It's not even. Look, if you want to go have fun, go to a movie.
Right.
Go to fucking Disneyland. Go do something that's different.
Yeah.
We're not talking about having fun. We're talking about what brings you value and makes you feel like you.
Yeah.
But your
exactly.
passions are also fun.
Your passion just happen to might be fun as well.
Like, I mean, I've been recording bands now for 11 years. I still feel like I haven't worked
Right.
in 11 years.
But there are hard moments.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's
Oh,
still
yeah.
work,
Yeah,
right? It's still work.
100%. Yeah.
But
I mean,
when you
working
follow your
at Rise
passion,
is still a job.
It's it's
Right?
incredibly challenging too, which
Of course.
is when people try to steer away from hard work. That isn't the issue because
No.
my gig at Rise is the hardest thing I've ever done.
That's right.
It's
That's
I mean
right.
I am spinning plates and you can't survive.
Expectation.
You can't survive at that label unless you're a Swiss Army knife. Everyone that's there, they're not just good at whatever their job description is.
So let's talk about that. So your actual title is art
director.
Art director.
Yeah, it was graphic design.
So talk about what that actually entails and what I mean. So obviously you have a couple design guys under you. I think is what.
Yeah.
you
So
mentioned?
I have one, and then I'm allowed to outsource.
Okay.
So I bring in a lot of my just different design buddies that I've met, just internet design buddies.
Right.
You know there's all the communities out there, and you kind of you're able to kind of link up with the guys that aren't on the message boards stirring up shit, and there's a lot of prima donnas, drama queen. You don't want to have to deal with that guy. You like the dudes that they do solid work, they turn it in quickly, and I don't think before this job I ever really valued like quick turnarounds more than right now because
That's all it is.
I have
That's all
massive plates of stuff that I have to finish, and it's all on me. You know, my supervisors are looking at me like, get this done now, get it done ASAP, and sometimes it's an impossible amount of work, which is just a testament to how well the label's doing. So I just have to, I got to quarterback that out to different people.
So give us an example of something that you have worked on in the past month or so. Like what, or just kind of paint a picture for someone that doesn't know. What does that mean? Like, are you helping, are you working with bands to design their look? Or
how I describe it to
website,
people,
like...
it kind of goes back to that Swiss Army knife thing. There isn't one way that I get tossed into a project every single time. It's always different. Some projects will, release dates will change. They'll either be pushed up or moved back, and I've got to be able to be in sync with that and find that rhythm and know that, okay, well, this one takes priority over this one because this album comes out sooner, or okay, there's a hold up at the studio for this one. They're kind of redoing a couple tracks, so got a little more time on this. Whatever some of that like the more administrative stuff is. That's kind of my favorite part about my job is that I stay out of just everything in the back end, all the contracts and the agreements and all that. I'm just kind of like, if you need sick art, like hit me up. Like that's I love being like the office
the cool thing
stoner.
is you still get a little bit of knowledge of that back end.
I
talked about some of that stuff, like how At the Drive-In happened.
100%.
How does Goldfinger get signed to Rise?
Exactly.
I
want to know that.
Yeah, it's the cool.
Or Bouncing Souls, right? Aren't they on Rise now?
Yeah, they are.
I guess they have been for a while.
Yeah.
Still, like.
Yep. No,
that's not a classic Rise band.
No,
quote unquote.
Absolutely, I love working there just because I'm able to learn so much just eavesdropping on my supervisors. We have a bunch of open offices, and some of us are on conference calls with each other. Some of us aren't, and I'll just be cruising along on some like album layout or some social assets or something, and I'm able to glean info from these dudes above me that have been doing this for a while and are just brilliant in their individual categories where they're just,
oh dude,
if I could just sit and pick their brain, they're way too busy for me just to be like, hey, give me a one-on-one.
But you're there, Alan.
But I'm able
this is such a huge thing for you.
Exactly. I'm able to do that, and they're both really, I mean, all three of them honestly are really cool about being able to pick any sort of like situation and just kind of take it to the side and talk to all of us and just kind of be like, oh, so this is how this happened, and this is, and you're just able to kind of understand a little more of how that really convoluted part of the industry
Yeah.
works a little bit better. I still have a long way to go, obviously.
So, like, when you look at the website, are you involved in that at all? The way that is that a totally different thing?
The website in terms of like coding and stuff, not at all. I've actually like been really adamant about staying away from, even as a freelancer. I would have people hit me up about web design, and I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, it's web design to me is really impressive and cool. Just like engineering and recording bands is awesome, but then it's also the most daunting. I'm like, keep it away from me. I don't ever want to learn.
So let's get back. Like, what was something you've been working on the past handful of weeks?
Yeah,
And
so it'll be,
I know it's all over the place. And it
Yeah,
changes,
yeah.
But
A good example would be, geez, in the last month, I don't know if I could do that because it has been super crazy. A really quick project that I really enjoyed was Dance Gavin Dance released that 7-inch that had what were the two, Summertime Gladness and Pussy Vultures.
okay.
And I think Pussy Vultures is older, but Summertime Gladness is such a good song. I've probably listened to that song at least 150 times since it came out. And the band had provided the just a photo of like kind of this like bumblebee on a flower. And it came like, oddly, it wasn't a square like the cover was going to be. It was kind of more of like an 18 by 24 poster type shape. So I just had to like recrop it, and then I got to have fun with the type because it came with a 0 type on it, and then do the reverse side, and then the graphic designer that I work with, he got to pick the vinyl variants, and he killed that, and then just the whole package ended up looking really cool. Okay. And that was just a really quick, easy, like not a ton of work or a ton of back and forth, which there is that as well. Working with I'm trying to think. Of Mice and Men with Cold World, there was a lot of back and forth with that, and then that final layout for CD was massive to where it opened up into like I don't even know. I want to say like a 12-panel digipack that then I think had 2 more panels that opened up, and then there was an accordion booklet that came. It was really, really elaborate. It was almost kind of silly, but it turned out really cool. Because
so often you're obviously working with the band themselves, but you're also working with the guy they chose to do artwork. And
sometimes
right?
Absolutely, no, that's a good point, because sometimes a band will be like, hey, sometimes it's somebody in the band who's just really talented, great designer. They're like, yeah, here's a bunch of files that we've already got, so put that on your templates to get it produced and
cool.
Let us know, what legal lines and all that. And then I'll just go and kind of like pull it across the finish line. And I honestly find enjoyment in that too, even though there's not as much creative
But
output
you're still
from
running
me.
it through the filter of the label. You're
Exactly.
like, these are our expectations, sort of our guidelines that,
Yeah, and when
it's got to go through.
And sometimes I'll just have tons of project where I'm being sucked dry creatively. So then when I get something like that, it's just a mindless kind of make sure the Rise logo's on it, get the barcode on it,
But like you said, it's the Swiss Army knife thing.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so I think you had mentioned at one point you were involved in some bus wraps or something like that.
Yeah. Around the
Talk
summer.
about that. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, the summer festival
cool.
season. We end up doing. I want to say it was Warped Tour 2 years ago. We did a bus wrap for Chelsea Grin, and it's just, it's obviously more cost effective and 9 times out of 10 faster if my supervisors are like, just handle that, just burn a day on it.
Is there somewhere we can find that right now? Maybe.
Man, I got one good picture of it on my Instagram page.
What year?
This was 2015, I want to say.
2015.
Warped Tour.
Warped Tour bus wrap.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram?
Yeah, just search mine. So it's just It Came From the Sky, just all one word, and then you shouldn't have to go back too far.
Yeah, I'm just curious, but I
remember. Well, the picture I got was actually not bad because I was back by the buses and stuff, and I was just like, I'm private.
Oh, gosh.
Andrew, follow him. Follow him, Andrew.
Oh,
then he'll approve it live on air.
We'll get it.
This
We're
is
gonna
how
get
we
it
do
done.
this. Welcome to the Stateside Podcast, where we approve Instagram.
Oh, and I'm on
requests
airplane
live
mode.
on air.
So I gotta take it off airplane.
That's because you're a pro. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
He turns his phone.
Trying to be
My fucking
respectful.
phone's not even on airplane mode.
I don't even know where my phone is.
This is why you get the job.
Yeah.
Good
All right,
man.
boom. Approved. Refresh it.
Now we can look at it.
Yeah. Well, while that's happening, we can move on. So
I have a question.
Go
actually.
ahead.
So like, every band on the label, does all the artwork have to go through you, whether it's done before, or do you design it all? Like, how does that work? Are there bands that you don't work with?
Yeah, it'll go through me no matter what. I don't think, not necessarily for aesthetic. Obviously, if something's turned in that looks like it was done with MS Paint, then we're gonna step in and kind of be like, we're gonna save that band from themselves, kind of. We're gonna be like, we promise you, if you give us 2 days, we're gonna. I've heard my supervisor say it, like, let our art guy handle that. He's gonna, and then I've turned in stuff, or even just spruced up what they have turned in, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's a facelift. That's way better. We'll run with that. But that's super, super rare.
Okay.
Yeah, whether I do it or they do it, it does have to go through us just to get the, all the fun stuff, the catalog number, the barcode, the legal line. Yeah, copyright stuff.
I mean, what about all that stuff? Andrew just had a picture of Warped Tour.
Yeah, so this was actually, this was this last Warped Tour.
Rise's logo has always been rad, right?
I know. I can't believe how timeless it is.
I know.
It's always been the same.
But it's everyone knows that.
Yeah.
I love it. It was just it was time for us to re-up our tents, and we normally do a semi like that, at least in the 3 years that I've been there. And those are a pain just because it's such a massive file size.
Oh my god!
And I have a dope computer there too. It's a fantastic, but it wants to tap out every 2 seconds, and I have to save constantly because it just to move like that Goldfinger logo like 5 pixels down can take me like 30 seconds because it's just my computer catching up to the command.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then all of the album minis to the right of it, and
dude, I'm gonna get a picture of that. That's fucking dope.
It's a fun gig though because then you go to Warped and you see it, and it's cool to see. We have a running joke in the office that anytime I design something, only if it's huge like that, like something large format, then my mom wants to see it. She specifically told me, like, if it's an album cover, that's tiny and I don't care.
Right.
But if it's like bigger than my house, take a picture, let me see it. Like, only that to her is really cool. It's the funniest thing. It's so supportive, but also not at the same time.
That's amazing. What year was that? Was that last?
Yep. Yeah, that was last year.
Maybe I shouldn't try to Instagram at the same time as doing a podcast. What do you guys think?
Hey, man, whatever you want to do.
What do the listeners think? Post your comments.
Yeah, post your comments. Should James pay attention to the podcast? So, okay, I have a couple. Neil, do you have more questions?
No,
I have a couple. Since you are a visual man, as it were, how important do you think visuals are? I mean, obviously, they've been important since Led Zeppelin and prior to that, and album covers, and it's part of a band's, I hate to use the word, but branding, right?
Right, yeah.
Now, how important do you think that is moving forward in 2017 where anyone has access to technology? I mean, this is the same conversation we have every day about, what's the difference between a real actual tradesman producer and some kid that just got a Pro Tools rig and a couple microphones.
Right.
So you actually have a real training and an expertise in doing this stuff. So what role does a young band today have in that? And like, how important is that for them to focus on early on? And does it help? Is that something,
Right. Yeah. I go back and forth with this a lot because if an album is killer, like lately I've been in love with the newest, Being as an Ocean record. I like it. It's a huge departure from some of their stuff, which I wouldn't have considered myself a fan of theirs before this record. And I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you why I stumbled across this record. I'm honestly not a fan of the cover. Like if I just saw the cover, I wouldn't really care. As a designer, there's a lot I would do differently, but it's not terrible either. But that record is so fantastic that it makes me not care at all about the cover.
Gotcha.
But then there have been albums that the cover alone made me interested.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a non-answer, but
well, what about as a whole, not just like the album cover, but bands that are aware of their appearance. They're aware of the way they put their best foot forward on Instagram.
Do they have a logo or not?
Right.
Do they have a logo or not? Are they putting stickers on every venue they go to?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, some of those bands, we all know who they are that are really good at that. And it really, I think it separates them from the punk rock ethic of just like, well, our music's going to speak for itself. Fuck you. Peace. We're out. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
Great. But,
I think
there's a lot in between there.
Yeah. Ideally, I think that authenticity is going to be the best brand to have.
I would agree.
For me,
I like that.
If you're, you know, just a dirty kind of like long-haired denim jacket kind of you know, gross Portland rock band,
Right. Then
that's
do that.
gonna, if
Embrace
that's
that.
real, yeah, if that's real, then do that.
Yeah,
Red Fang.
I always like, correct me if I'm wrong, because you do this for a living, but like, so the things that I like off to that point, what I tell the bands that I develop is like, yeah, if you're like a grungy Portland dirty band, don't have a bubblegum pop label,
Right.
or you know, like a
Right.
like a album art or
Yeah.
logo or
Embrace
something.
the darkness.
And it's like,
Yep.
and your comment about like stickers and flyers and stuff, like you said, that kind of stuff has to be attracting, because like the whole point of doing that is to introduce people to your band that have not heard of you.
Totally.
And so
yeah.
if you're posting up this really boring flyer in a urinal of a venue,
Yeah.
and it's like the people are going to have to take time out of their day. They're going to have to open up their phone. They're probably doing shit at the venue, hence why they're there.
Yeah.
They're going to have to look you up and have to remember your name. Like
Right.
people are usually just look at that shit and just like, oh, more stickers.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, branding is huge in terms of, you know, so authenticity, yes, but then to your point as well, consistency as well.
Right.
You're definitely gonna want to stay consistent with, if you are that kind of grungy band, or if you are like more poppy, you're clean, you guys are all like well manicured, and then let your logo, your album artwork, even your form of promotion, like that gross gutter Portland band, I would love to see their flyers only around urinals.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Where
Like
you put them is a factor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like keep it, because if it's on like the side of some fancy Portland hotel, that seems weird. That seems
You're
like
not going to be like exposing yourself to the right demographic to begin
Right.
with, so to speak.
But at the same
Yeah.
time, that's also, we're kind of talking about physical promotion, where in the digital world that we're in now, it's kind of but you know, then you can get into advertising on specific websites over other websites,
Right,
if you
right.
are that grungy band over that, you know, and that's another thing that I'm kind of gleaning at Rise, is some of the I handle all of our print ads. So in doing that, I kind of work in tandem with one of my supervisors, and he's been really great about kind of showing me that certain bands are obviously going to work better in certain publications, and then on top of that, you're going to want to put kind of a focus on like we just started working with Juxtapose, which is like an art magazine. So they don't typically do a lot with music, but they've kind of talked to us about wanting to do something with music. So that's been a mutually beneficial thing, where we kind of bring them the music, but then they bring us this cool avenue where we put At the Drive-In there, because they had, I think it was one of their buddies that did the artwork, and he's just kind of this old school dude that's been doing this like kind of trippy artwork that's really interesting, unique, and just fit with that aesthetic within Juxtapose really well. Whereas another band with like a hardcore band with kind of a straightforward visual vibe might not, but then they would be great for New Noise magazine, or for you know.
I feel like
Right,
this is a huge mistake that a lot of young bands make.
Yeah, well, because it's so convoluted, and it's so up there in terms of like, it's like
You have to be genuine. You have to attract the kind of people that are going to want to listen to your music.
Yeah.
You know?
If your lineage as a band is like the video game Mortal Kombat, you know how you would like your first fight is like pretty easy, you get up there, and then like Goro is like level 10,
Yeah.
or the mirror match is always number 9.
Yeah.
So that's where like some of this marketing and brand, that's so up there. When you're in your garage jamming, you're not like, so like,
You're
what
not-
magazine should we be in?
Right,
Like, that's
right.
Yeah, that's
so-
the second step. But
it's so
I'm talking
far
about
beyond-
just like when
Sure.
you're a DIY band designing your own T-shirt or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's tons of value there, too, in keeping in line with your brand, even when you are super DIY. And sometimes DIY is the brand.
Yeah.
The
Right.
fact that we
Exactly.
refuse to not do it ourselves.
So yeah,
Right.
like in that case, like my roommate Jason, he was in a Chin Up Rocky. Do you remember those guys from way back?
I've
in the day?
definitely heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, so they were huge DIY. They printed their own stickers, T-shirts, buttons. They did everything themselves.
Wow.
And so they even designed the artwork themselves. And so when they did the artwork, they didn't try to make it look like a 4 Year Strong or like a Rise Records kind
Right,
of
yeah.
thing. They did that deliberately because consciously they knew that like, hey, we're a DIY band.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's make, and that's who they were. They didn't want to pretend.
Yeah.
They didn't want to present them. And a lot of bands make this mistake too, especially with photos, I feel like.
Yeah.
Is like they'll take these classy, artsy photos, like make them look super legit, but in reality, they're just like that Portland grunge band you
Yeah.
were talking about. And it's like, you may attract like a 15-year-old girl or something and say, hey, this looks rad, but she's not gonna necessarily like it. She might,
Right.
but you're attracting the wrong kind of person. Like if you're a DIY anti-establishment kind of dude, like everything you do should reflect that, and then the people that listen to you are gonna respect you that much more because they have the same belief system you do.
Yeah, well, I think some people think that if we are that grungy band, that you can't get professional visual shit and have a grungy look to it. Like if it's professional, it's always crispy and clean.
Come on,
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, there are a lot of different aesthetics that are coming back that are that dirtier kind of old jazz LP cover where it's like, simple colorways, like very limited colorways, and you get that. It's a huge thing I'm seeing in terms of, because I'm a big texture guy. Like I love working with textures in Photoshop, and a huge thing going on right now is the vinyl, like the LP ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Using that like live texture.
I love that the vinyl's back.
Yeah, me too.
It's so rad.
Yeah, I'm totally guilty of being that guy that collects vinyl and doesn't own anything to play it on. But for me, it's just the artwork is bigger.
You know what?
Like,
now that you made that point,
like,
I
that makes sense.
actually got a bunch of free vinyls from Craig a long time ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I have them still, but I don't have any.
We got to get Craig on the show.
I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You'll have to talk to him for us.
Yeah, he's got stories.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
We've met, but it's been so long. It would literally be a reintroduction at this point.
Yeah, which would be fine.
Yeah.
That might be even better.
Seems like a dope guy. So let's see here. What else do I have for you?
Yeah, so for the young bands out there, pay attention to what you're showing people, how you present yourself.
Okay, well that kind of leads into this kind of other question. What? I know this is a broad question and maybe impossible to answer, but what is a label like Rise? What are they looking for in a band these days? Does all that stuff that we just talked about come into play? Are they just wanting you to pay your fucking dues for a while, and we're gonna watch you at a bird's eye view, and we'll get to you when we can, or like? Yeah,
I think that it's. I mean, definitely the paying your dues part is huge. Not really necessarily as like a, you got to have some miles on you to be considered cool enough. It's more, if you have miles on your band, we can be a little more sure that you've hit some of these marks we need you to get closer to that level of professionalism, so that you're not dealing with an individual or several individuals that are a little too green.
Do you have a specific example you could give, or a couple?
Not really. I think that just overall, I think social impact is huge. Are you, if you put something out into the ether socially, do people care? How many people care?
And also a commitment thing. If we as a label, which is just a company, it's a bank. Yeah. If we're gonna write a loan for you, right? If we're gonna give you a loan, and we're gonna commit our time and resources to you, are you
it's gotta be a safe investment?
It's gonna be safe. Are you gonna fucking break up next month?
Right.
That's huge. I mean, you see it.
There's definitely a level of risk on the label's part. I know
there always will be.
When Across the Sun got signed by Metal Blade, that was a massive risk for them, because I think it was a 4-album deal, and we completed 1, and it's like for them it's just.
Oh, I remember that.
That's
what did you bring me on the CDs that one time for Across the Sun? We were doing backing tracks or something.
Yeah, I think we were trying to get because we wanted to have. Because Sam, the guitarist, had tracked like rhythm and then lead, and we wanted rhythms to pop in, live front of house for when we were playing out, and then he would just do the leads over that.
Gotcha. Anyway.
So yeah, we needed help separating that.
Gotcha. That's right. I remember.
But yeah, that was for them. It was just, oh, so you guys are done? Okay, cool. And the other 3 albums just don't happen.
So what happened to you after that then?
What happened to the band?
Yeah,
it just kind of dissolved. I went off and. Kind of focused more on design.
There was no like penalty or anything?
Or? Oh no, not so far. Not that I know of.
Huh.
If there is, then I haven't paid that penalty. And I highly doubt anybody.
Well, I mean,
else
I was just thinking of it because a lot of bands I work with too, and I actually don't know the answer to this question, so you might be able to enlighten me. But so like a lot of bands are terrified of that. They get signed, they sign this contract or whatever the logistics are, and then they're afraid of the consequences if something like that were to happen. So in your case. You signed a 4-record deal and only 1 got done?
Yep. Only 1 was completed. 1 was delivered, quote unquote.
And then so you just had to pay the Like, what happened?
We didn't pay for the other 3. I think anything that they've invested in us,
They just recoup.
Yeah, they're able to recoup through our. I actually just got a statement from them the other day, and I want to say a few years ago it would, because the final amount that we have to have sold in album sales until we start to get something.
Right.
That amount was like $5,000, and I think now it's like at $1,300 or something. That's
so you didn't have to fulfill the full 4 records.
No, because they'll just kind of keep soaking it out of what we have delivered until. So in essence, by the end of it, they will have not lost money. I think. Once again, I'm the stoner art dude. So when it comes to like contracts, I'm just like, I don't know, man. Just don't be mad at me, and I'll do some album artwork.
I think I could be wrong, and people that are listening are going to be yelling into the mic, into their phone right now.
Right. Everybody's always yelling at you.
Yeah, but I think it's more that the label, they're saying that you, the band, can't go anywhere for this 3
Right. So if
record
Across
cycle.
the Sun was going to get back together, you were still under contractual obligation with them,
or maybe I don't know if that's what was in the contract.
Yeah. Well, actually, I just realized I forgot a really important point. We were at a certain point we were dropped from the label, so it's kind of like, and I think in a lot of contracts they could, because I think it had been 2 years, and they were like, "Have you guys written anything new?" And we had, but we were like, "No." And they were like, "Okay, then here's your release letter, whatever."
Yeah.
Which we were stoked about, and then I think we tried to do another record ourselves, which I have the very just the bones of it. We basically have everything except keys and vocals, and it's actually a really cool record. But it just never. We kind of all separated and kind of started doing our own things.
It happens.
But I think because of that release, which is why it's an important point that I just completely forgot. That I think that changes the legality of it a little bit, because it's labels obviously right in the contract they can break up with you. You can't break up with them. Right. So and they broke up with us. So.
I think you just said. I think that's really what it is.
I'm pretty sure.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, let's hope. I'm not trying to hear that I owe 25% of however.
They're gonna hear this podcast. They're gonna track your ass down, dude.
Yeah, I would be flattered.
They're gonna shove it hard up.
What a waste of their time.
So anyway, back to the topic about. So what is Rise looking for?
Yeah, I think just get some miles on you. Have obviously just is whoever at the label, because we have multiple A&R there, whichever one is interested in you.
How many? Sorry to interrupt you, but how many A&R guys does Rise have today?
I want to say now it's essentially I guess 5. I want to say some are more aggressive in the A&R than others, but Rise is also
Swiss Army knife.
It seems to me
it's
as like as
evolving and breathing and
totally, and as the dumb art guy, it would appear to me that Rise is so huge that people just kind of come to them and managers producers and just go, "What do you think about this?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that'd be cool."
Dude, it's been so fun to watch in the past handful of years.
Yeah.
At the drive-in, me and Andrew, I don't know, Neil, did you listen to At the Drive-In?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was such a huge band for us growing up, and then subsequently the Mars Volta, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I was into Mars Volta, but I completely missed At the Drive-In.
That was like...
Because the guys at Rise are like, "Oh, At the Drive-In," and I'm jealous that I wasn't... I totally slept on that.
Yeah, because how old are you? You're 30?
I'm actually going to be 31 Friday.
Okay, so
I got to have to party.
Yep.
3 years on you.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
That adds up. Yep.
It's about there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm 3 years younger.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, and one of the
yeah,
A&R guys.
legendary bands are legendary.
Right. Yeah.
15-year-olds like at the
they're gonna
Drive-In.
resonate.
For sure.
Yep.
A 15-year-old just found out about the Beatles today. It's crazy
Who?
how that happens.
The Beatles?
The Beatles? John Lennon?
Like the insect, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, off the point of the label thing for kids listening, but, so when I was in North Carolina starting that revival with Sean Milkey from Alisana, some of the things that we looked for specifically when we were thinking about signing bands was, one, are you self-sufficient? And by that I mean, have you done tours on your own? Do you know how to book a show? Do you have any mode of transportation?
Right.
How long have you guys been a band? And of course you want to hear the music, but with us it didn't necessarily, because I was also running a studio too. But there's millions of people out there you can pay to get a record done. So like we didn't care necessarily how it sounded. Like we signed a band off of like an iPhone recording, I think. So it's it's the music, obviously. Are you a cool dude?
Right.
Like,
Are you easy to work with?
Yeah, like if you like
stand being around.
I can't tell you how many times Sean or I would get an email and it would be this kid who knew. It's so hard to describe, but he knew he needed to be professional and businesslike, but he didn't quite know how.
Yeah.
And so he would go overboard with it, and he just sounded like a prick.
Right.
And so it's
ruins your shot.
There's also bands too where the music wasn't that cool, but they were such cool dudes. We believed in them.
Yeah.
So and that's I don't know how Rise works, but at least for Revival, those were some of the key things. Like we want to make sure that if we were going to put our money behind you, that you wouldn't fuck it up. Basically, like you know how to tour, you've been on the road before.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna like so many bands break up on their first tour. It's like you're not gonna break up. Do you have the work ethic?
Yeah, good
because
work ethic.
The most common misconception that I get with young bands is that when they get signed, their hard work is over.
That's
the
right.
label does everything for them.
Fucking begins, brother.
Yeah, that's where it begins. Like you still got to hustle. That like you put it, James. It's just a bank practically, and they have some resources to market you.
And the funny thing about being in a band that is always blown me away is the whole like, this is a vacation from our life. And this is the time to get fucked up because everyone's watched too many movies and Motley Crue legendary stories and all this shit. It's like if you have the audacity to assume that this is going to be your job, right?
Yep.
That you're going to expect people to take off a night of work, to pay for parking, to buy your ticket, to fucking get a babysitter, whatever it is.
It is a business.
That's right. And then you not take it serious.
Yeah.
That's insanity to me. What you would never show up to your job drunk and not giving a fuck and just like,
but it goes into
here.
This
Right.
plays exactly into Alan's point earlier when we first started about the passion thing that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So like you have to treat it seriously. It is a job, so to speak.
It's not so. It is a job.
But
if you want it to be.
But what my point is,
it's a fun job.
Yeah, like you will enjoy every moment of it, and like as long as you take it seriously. Like when you're on tour, I tell a lot of bands keep track of your merch. Like actually, if you personally, the leader of the band, are not good at accounting, most likely one of your other band members is. He probably loves numbers. So instead of like if he was the guy in high school that always fucking aced his math, have him like do all your accounting, keep track of that shit.
Like
because when a band would come to us at Revival and they said, "Hey, we've toured," I don't care how big the tour is, but we toured the East Coast, for example. In New York City, we sold this much.
Right.
This was our primary piece that we sold there, whether it was a T-shirt, whether it was a CD, stickers.
It's
if
huge.
you keep track of that, and if you talk to a label, you're gonna like blow their mind, and they're gonna like it's just gonna reassure them that holy shit, this band is serious.
Yeah.
That they take it seriously, and you'll get signed.
It's that example we always talk about, Neil, of like a ship.
Yeah,
like a pirate ship or something.
Yep.
Everyone has their role on the ship. There's the captain, there's
Right.
the cook, there's the guy that hoists up the sail, there's the guy that swabs the deck.
And
Whatever.
the guy that swabs the deck probably sucks at hoisting the
That's
sail,
right.
and vice versa.
And just
Right.
'cause it's just a role in the band, and just because there's the captain of the band, it's no better or worse. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Josh Homme is the captain of Queens of Stone Age. He just is. It doesn't make the drummer any less of a guy. I mean, their drummer John Theodore is a fucking legend. If you don't know who he is, get with it. But anyway, like every band's got to have that role,
so
and they got to figure out: are you the money guy? Are you the visual guy? Are you
just really good at talking to people?
Yeah,
like
that's right.
you
Or
see,
are you just a good drummer? And if that's the case, shut up and drum.
I'm
Like,
sure
let
you've
us
seen.
do shit.
I'm sure we've all seen, especially since the both of you are drummers. You've probably watched a band live and go, "That drummer is horrible. Why is he in the band for so long?"
That's right.
He's probably giving something to the band
He's
that the
adding
rest
some
of them
value.
don't have. He's filling some sort of niche. Whether it's like maybe he's the main songwriter, maybe he is like really good at marketing, maybe he can crunch the numbers, maybe he's like
Lars
the main...
Ulrich was the manager of Metallica.
Right.
And he brought all of that to the table.
Yeah.
It's like the Gary Vee, double down on your
I'm not saying
strengths.
he's a bad drummer.
Well, I was gonna say it's good he was managing because he was barely drumming, so he
So
needed
see,
some
there you
sort
go.
of gig.
That's why he was in that band. It's probably
I'm
because
not really
he added a
saying he's
value
bad
that you
drummer,
weren't
but I
seeing.
am kind of saying he's a bad drummer.
So that what is the Some Kind of Monster, that documentary? my favorite part
yeah.
is when James has given him this riff that I'm not going to say it's a goofy riff. It's not. It's a very obvious riff. It's easy to follow the rhythm. But then Lars has the hardest time following it. And he legit, like, you can see in his face, he's just like,
I can't.
he's like, I should quit. Everyone's been telling me for years to quit, and maybe I'm finally seeing that I should. And then he lets out this fuck. He just screams, because that's him rejecting the idea of, I gotta stop.
That.
And then and now that shit's
Fighting
on film,
through
and
it.
I watch it like every Friday.
Just
You know, that
I've never
documentary is
seen it, but
funny,
just
but
you
it's
telling
also
me
legit.
about it gave me goosebumps.
It's so good.
It is
It's
so
so
good.
goddamn good.
It's
And he's a
super
millionaire, and he's like, and then it cuts to him selling paintings for $3 million a piece, and it's like, maybe I'm the idiot, and Lars knows what he's, because I've been focusing on actually drumming, and he's got $3 million.
There's a mindset that definitely goes behind the scenes for everything.
Okay, so I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna take a piss break. I'm gonna pee out of my big old dick, and then we'll come back and do a little current event.
I was hoping you were going to say butthole.
I'm gonna pee out of my butthole.
There you go. I'm happy.
But before I go pee out of my butthole,
Yep.
now, essentially, what is the role of a label today? I know it's a huge, broad question, but do your best in kind of explaining why. Because I mean, look, you can
Some
do a
people
lot
think they're
today.
out of date.
Right, you can do a lot on your own today. Essentially, you can go get a loan from a bank.
Mm-hmm.
You can book your own shows. You can do you can do everything yourself.
Yeah.
But
Technically, don't need them.
But there's a reason for professionals. There's a reason for tradesmen, producers, professional graphic designers, managers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the floor.
Well, I mean, first of all, for sure, I mean, specifically at Rise Records, I might be the worst person to ask this, but
yeah, but I mean, you're a guy, you're a music guy,
totally, and I can give
not just
an answer.
You're from Rise, just you know.
From my perspective, I guess I feel like the label is a hub for a lot of those things you just listed, where if I've seen bands get signed and then they walk right in the door, you know, contractually to the best booking agents working today. The best managers, you know, they've got me as their art guy, you know. So right out of the gate, they've now got their hand on
a team.
Yeah, a really, really solid team within the industry.
A family, if you will.
And it's not a team that they couldn't, because they could absolutely hit me up on a freelance basis. And if my schedule isn't insane, there's a good chance that I'm going to work with them anyway. But I can't say the same for the booking agents and the managers and
right.
But those managers, those booking agents, those producers, they're all gonna listen a little better if one of the A&R guys from Rise is coming to them and saying, "Got this band."
Okay, gotcha.
Because they're gonna look at that and go,
so
"Oh,
it's not
you guys
just,
signed them."
It's
part
not
of the
just
family.
access. It's not just a Rolodex the label provides. It's it's like we always talk about, Neil, family, creating a scene, creating a not an empire, but a thing, right?
Yeah.
An attractive. And the other things, it's like the reason I represent the producers I represent is because it's much easier. For me to talk about how cool they are than for them to talk about how cool they are.
Right.
Right? It's going to come across a lot
Do you really
better.
think I'm cool?
I think you're really cool.
Aw.
But honestly, if I'm trying to negotiate rates for Neil or whoever it is,
Yeah.
and I'm, you know, hey, I think he's a really good match for your band, it's the truth.
Yeah, because you're
It's
coming to
just-
them as somebody who's invested in Neil.
That's right.
So they're like, "Well, if you've invested,
There you go.
that's different than Neil saying I'm worth investing in."
And it's
Exactly.
tenfold for Rise because
Yeah.
they are Rise. They have this clout, a legendary status in the scene for as many years as they've been around.
100%.
So you're right. So when a
and
guy
just
from
years of, I mean, the relationships that a lot of those guys at Rise have with some of these
can only
industry
imagine.
professionals. I mean, there's a lot of value there. It's not just, oh, we've known this A&R guy at Rise, or this A&R guy at Rise has known this producer. It's, I mean, look, like Chris Crummett. How long has Rise been? Way
Since
before
the beginning.
Yeah,
Since
it's
the
just,
beginning.
that is a massive. You know, they have a workflow and a system worked out, and it's just
They've been
that's
working
very
together
Okay,
for
so
solid.
years.
that helps. That
Mhm.
helps. And I think every label is going to be a little bit different to answer that question.
Oh, 100%,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, like, totally different.
Yeah, I'm buddies with a couple art directors at different labels, and it's just I've never directly asked them like, "Hey, give me the ins and outs
Right,
of
what's
your
it
label."
like
You know,
there?
obviously
Right.
it's bizarre, but I'm able to kind of like pull different parts of exactly what that process is, and it's different from what I deal with at Rise. So
Okay.
I can only imagine how much it changes from label to
Cool.
label.
All right, let's take a pee break. Anyone that wants to come in the bathroom with me is more than welcome.
As long as
Andrew?
it's out your butt.
I haven't peed for hours, and yet I'm still good. I don't need.
All right.
Chug,
I'm
chug,
gonna
chug,
starting to
chug.
get worried.
I'm gonna go pee out of my big dick. Andrew, press pause.
My dick, my dick, my dick. My dick, my dick, my dick. My dick, my dick, my dick. My dick, my dick. My dick, my dick, my dick, my dick.
All right, that was a good pee break. We are back officially from the podcast. Alan got a little weird in the bathroom. I mean, you didn't have to whip your dick out immediately.
It's what I do, man.
James wasn't kidding though. He's got a pretty big dick.
Yeah, it's an American size.
It's not Adam. Or sorry, yeah, no.
Alan.
Alan.
That's his name.
Alan's
I've
his
got
name.
multiple names. Yeah, not even close to offended.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to the Stateside Podcast. AC, our trusted producer. Let's do a little news of the day, current events.
Oh,
I'm not
God,
sure
it's
what
been
we're going to call it yet.
Awful weekend, huh?
Has it?
Oh, God. It's the
I live in a
worst.
cave. I don't. You're
All
about
right,
to
so we had
educate
the
me.
massacre in Las Vegas.
God damn it. Well, we
Oh,
can...
yeah.
I don't want to talk about this for too long, because it's too goddamn sad.
It
So
is.
what exactly
But
happened?
I think we do need to...
I
acknowledge
know. I know it happened, but I don't know the details.
it. Some madman shot from the 32nd floor in the Mandalay Bay Hotel
At a concert.
into a outdoor country venue and killed 58 people.
Jesus.
Injured over 200.
Was
Fully
he-
automatic.
Was he caught? Did he commit suicide? How did it
When
end?
the SWAT, you can hear it. There's live recordings of the police and dispatch, and like the cop and his whole SWAT team up in the hallway of the hotel because they figured out where he was.
Yeah, and they breached.
Yep, and they're
Mhm.
like, "Okay, everyone, we're gonna breach," and you hear a loud explosion. They knock the door down, and he had already killed himself because they're
Gotcha.
fucking pussies. And
Yeah.
anytime you throw, a rock at them, they kill themselves
Yeah,
because they're not there to fight, right?
Right.
If they were, then they would
They're there to go
say,
out.
"Be here at this time and place, and let's do this."
They're there to go out with a bang, so to speak.
Yeah, they're fucking pussies, and we don't mention their name. But that's what happened.
Do we know anybody in Las Vegas? I know it-
So Travis Ball, he's a new producer I just brought on. He's doing a tour right now in Canada with an artist named Michael W. Smith. And anyway, one of the I think it's like a lighting girl or someone that works on that same crew had just been at that show.
Oh,
and
wow.
then flew to Canada to start that
Wow.
tour.
Jeez.
So I think she was there. She's fine. But Crummett knows some people.
I know
that-
Mike is from there, right?
Mike is from there. So
Mike
yeah,
Som.
he knows a lot of people. I mean, I haven't dug around enough, but we all collectively know stagehands and production people who
Oh, yeah.
tour.
Yeah.
I know people who tour with OK Go and all these EDM Bass Nectar and all that kind of shit. I mean, I know a lot of union Teamster stagehand guys.
Yeah.
Because I used to do it, and so I don't know. I checked in on Instagram, no one indicated otherwise, but we're all connected to it, probably closer than we know.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the
yeah.
7 degrees to Kevin Bacon
Yep.
thing,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked, man. And when I woke up, so I stayed up late Sunday night working, and it was 1:30 that the news came out. Pretty
Mhm.
late at night, at least when I heard it, rather.
Right, because it happened at 10:30.
Yep,
Yeah.
showtime, concert time, late in the evening, and anyway, I remember I think I was texting Chris. I don't remember. Anyway, and at that point, only 2 people was reported dead,
Oh, okay. Wow.
but still, it was like, fuck, not another one. God damn it!
Yeah.
What a bummer. 2 people died, and then the next morning I wake up and it's 58 killed. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my god.
Yeah, and then 400 injured.
400 injured, and then on top of it, a couple hours later, Tom Petty dies.
Yeah. Well, the crazy
just
thing
a
about
brutal
that,
day.
the Tom Petty thing
Brutal.
was especially crazy just because he was, I believe, reported as having brain damage but not dead.
Yep.
Then, very shortly after, dead. But then reported as CBS jumped the gun, he's not dead. So as everyone was kind of jumping for joy, he's not really dead. It was then reported that
Really?
he's dead. Yeah.
Okay, so
There
that
was, a weird
explains the
ping pong
confusion.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw different posts and different reports and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it is official. He passed away.
It is official. Yeah.
Yeah. So that day was terrible.
Yeah.
And speaking of Travis, I remember texting him and being like, "Well, today's a bummer."
Mm-hmm.
do we want to still make the announcement that we're working together?
Oh, right.
And he was so cool about it. He's like, fuck yeah, we do. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know, we had a plan. We're doing this thing.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of that's the tough spot
we
to
move
be in.
ahead, man.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I mean, I get both sides. If you want to lay
Absolutely.
quiet and be I get it. But it's just not my style. I'm like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
We move ahead, man. We do this anyway. In fact, we do it more.
Mm-hmm.
You go to shows even more often. You're
Yeah.
like, and Tom Petty, my God. I mean, for me, I don't know about you guys in this room, but he's, if not my favorite songwriter, certainly one of them. In
Yeah,
top
he's
five.
definitely a phenomenal. Well, I was just talking to the graphic designer that I work with at Rise about him. Like, we're both not necessarily fans he's a little bit before our time, but I mean, the songs that I have heard, he's just. I
Oh
mean,
my
the
God.
Free Falling alone, like,
Alone. If
Are
he just
you
did
kidding
that
me?
and walked
That's-
away,
yeah,
I won't back down. Free falling. Don't come around here no more. It's fucking. It's like
all
American soundtrack,
yeah,
right, Andrew?
Giant catalog band.
Giant. That documentary running
Almost
down
as
a
big
dream,
as James's cock.
not quite. Has anyone seen the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers documentary?
I haven't.
It's like
It's like 4 hours.
It's
man.
like 4 hours.
So good.
Is it really?
It is
Yeah, they go start from the beginning.
incredible. Highly recommend it, Alan. Because
That's
it's
awesome.
like everyone and their brother talks about it. You know, like Dave Grohl and all these people that are legends. I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
I can't imagine. Like Tom Petty's just always been there, right?
Yeah,
How's he not? What?
it definitely
Tom
seems
Petty's
that way.
gone?
Like, when I heard that he was dead, I was like, oh, he died at 102. That's crazy.
Exactly.
And he just
Yes,
was-
I know. He's
Was
66.
not that old.
It's like a little bit older than my dad.
Yeah.
How old was he?
66.
Oh wow.
I know. You know, it's fucked. I'm not that supernatural of a guy. I'm not religious, really, whatever, spiritual, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
But something new occurred to me on Monday in the afternoon. You know, I was listening to Tom Petty that whole day, and I'm sure a lot of other people collectively were as well.
Mm.
And I remember, like, not to get cheesed, but I got like a little tear in my eye. I was a little moved by this guy. It's not intentional, obviously. People die when they die, but he just happened to die after one of the biggest mass murder events that's ever happened in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And you could argue that that's like extra sad, and it is.
Right.
But it's also him going like, here, you guys need this right now.
Right.
Here's my music. Like, listen to Free Falling. Sing along. Be happy.
Yeah.
And
let's-
there are all these people posting, like, you know, celebrities and Tom Morello, like, hey, I remember when I met Tom Petty, or we did a show together. All these legends, you know, like Bruce Springsteen, all these people reminiscing about this legendary guy.
right.
And it brought a little happiness and a little light to that day.
Was it just natural? Is that
It was
how
a
he
cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
died? Okay, so pretty much natural at that age.
They found him in his. You want to look that up again, Andrew? The article of how he passed. From what I remember, it was a heart attack. They found him in his house.
Yeah. I think he died with family, from what I was reading.
Oh,
He
really?
He had family with him, and because, like I was saying, it was reported as brain damage early on. So I think it wasn't at all a surprise, or
Wow.
at least to his family.
Tom Petty's death is under
Oh
investigation.
boy.
Something. Yeah. It's just fucked. It's so sad. But it happens.
Even more reason that we have to change the world now.
That's right.
It's time.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the shooting, all that stuff, it's just like, man, this is why you do these podcasts. Not to be, you know,
Yeah.
self-righteous about it, but this is why we move ahead and we create and we make music and we make love and we talk about each other's big dicks and we fart and we just, you know, have fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
God damn it.
Interesting fact to get off the somber note here.
Yes, please.
I have never actually farted in front of anyone.
Get the fuck
I have
I'll
never
fart.
done
I've
it.
farted in front of you 5 times since I've been
That's
here.
crazy.
What are you talking about? Really?
I know. Well, I got made fun of it by my best friends in high school as well, but I've just always been a
Are
very...
you a gentleman?
I
Is
would
that- Are you a
suppose.
southern gentleman?
Suck it back
Neil?
in. What the fuck's
Like,
going on?
Are
even
you a
like...
Georgia peach?
Yeah, like even to go to show to my character these days, when a band is in here, I walk outside before I do it. If I have to do it, I make a point
That
to
is
do
a
that.
professional thing
Dude,
for
yeah,
you
that's
to do.
legit.
I don't know what it
Dude,
is.
that is legit.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so
That's how you get the big
actually,
rates and-
I lied to you. I did it once in college, but it was beyond my control, and I can elaborate on that.
Please do.
Okay, so at Full Sail, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis.
Sounds
It's basically like Crohn's disease.
Ugh.
Only it's without going into the details. So anyway, before I was diagnosed, I was going through a lot of problems, and some like flatulence is one of those things I just couldn't control because it was so painful. I just had to let it out.
Yeah.
And when you're in a 4-hour lecture, and you got penalized for leaving at Full Sail.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like Full Sail. I can go a whole podcast about Full Sail. But so anyway, I'm in the middle of this class of about 350 kids, and I'm in so much pain, I just have to let it out. The entire lecture room cleared out. The entire lecture room. And I was so embarrassed. I was so because I've never done it in front of people. I never do, and I was so fucking embarrassed. But because of the disorder, it smelled really bad.
Yeah, like you were dying.
Basically, my insides were rotting away. Is basically what it was happening.
Do you not have that anymore?
It's a lifetime illness. However, I'm in remission.
Wow.
So, but yeah, at that point in time, it was in the height of my flare up. It was before I was diagnosed. So I was to show you. 2 days later, I was rushed to the ER.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
So
you were like, yeah, you were.
This
at
is
the
before
peak.
I was diagnosed and everything. So anyway, yeah, the whole 300 lecture room, the teachers included, we took a 35-minute long break because of my fart.
So
And I was super embarrassed.
And
but
they knew it was you?
yeah,
you
I
were-
told everybody because I was super embarrassed at first, but then I was like,
that's
you know
nice.
what? How many people on planet Earth have can say that they like cleared out an entire lecture room?
Yeah,
because
so
of a
that
fart?
lecture room got you like at your ripest. Like
Yeah.
you were
Right.
you were locked and loaded.
Oh, yeah.
And
Right.
they just
I was ready for the picking.
Oh man.
I remember I used to wait tables, and particularly at McMenamins. If
I love that place.
listeners don't know, it's a local chain of restaurants and
Yep.
pubs, and
Really nice.
that's what you guys say. I have a different perspective.
I would
Right.
imagine.
I think
yeah.
it's a company ran by hippies pretending they're hippies, but they're not really. It's different when you work for them. Trust
My
me.
experience has
But
always
anyway.
been very nice.
And that's fine. They're smelly, patchouli hippie fuckers.
So
But
true.
anyway, I was such an asshole that I used to love to. What did we call it? Like smoke bomb people, or what is that called when you fart and you walk?
Oh, crop dusting.
Crop dust. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Crop
I knew you.
dusting, yeah.
said
Yep.
that. Yeah. So I crop dusted fuckers all the time. Like, excuse me, I'm holding like 2 trays of shit, and like, can you bring some more ranch or another root beer? I'm like, I would love to.
Got some coming up. Yeah.
Peace out.
Oh.
What year was this?
I don't know. I was young, early 2000s
Okay.
ish. That was before I started to bartend at the Crystal Ballroom, and see, that was okay. That's a music venue, you know.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Owned by the same company, but
Oh right. Yeah, that's true.
they just try to do too much. Like, we're a venue, we're a brewery,
Mm-hmm.
we're a pub, we're a tater tot company.
Yeah.
What else is going on in the world?
Anyway, yeah. What else is going on?
Huffington
Well, there was
Post.
an episode of The Simpsons that was on season 4 that where Homer's buying a gun, and there was like a 5-day wait for it, and then what happens in the episode is while he's waiting, Tom Petty is playing. Just kind of
Oh,
eerie, kind of
whoa.
weird.
I saw you pull that up, and I was wondering
Like
what that
prior
was.
Yeah,
to
I
all
can't-
this?
What?
Oh, prior, like in the past, an old episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
season
season
4.
four.
So.
Well, oh,
Long
shit, I didn't
time
hear that.
ago.
part. Oh
So
my
what year was
God.
that?
Was that before the Trump election episode of
Weird.
The Simpsons?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's kinda
the
eerie,
escalator
right?
Trump
Or was
thing?
it after? That's what I'm wondering. Are
Oh,
they
right, 'cause
predicting
there's
things
that-
in order?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
creepy.
that is
Anything
crazy.
else going on in the world,
Dude,
though?
The Simpsons, they just nailed everything.
Watch 100 years from now, we're gonna find out that whoever is the mastermind behind The Simpsons is actually like some sort of Nostradamus, and he was
Andrew,
trying to warn us the whole time.
Go back to that site you had. There's like a whole thread of news. There was some interesting shit on there. Maybe that's what it was. There's something about. I don't know.
So I've had flies in my face this whole time.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
I
have a
am
lot of
dying
flies in
again.
here. What's
I
up with that,
know.
bro?
I don't understand why.
Are they just fruit flies? They look really small.
Yeah, they're little flies, but I don't have any fruit in here.
Fruit fries.
Fruit fries. Fruit fry.
Trump was in Puerto Rico throwing out paper towels. That was
Wait, what?
pretty
What
ridiculous.
does that mean?
Paper
Why was
towels?
he doing that?
Why was he doing that?
Is that like slang for something?
No, literally throwing fucking paper towels.
Just rolls of
It's
bounty.
like, thanks for your help, Trump.
What is he just soak up the floodwater? Like what?
Yeah, I don't know. He's
It's
an
still
idiot.
so surreal to me. Like
Right?
he is the president of the United States.
I've been ignoring it.
I've been trying to.
Well, see, here's my thing. You know how like there's always that group of people during every election who says like, "Oh, I can't do this because this is who's in charge," or "I can't do
Right.
that." Dude, we are all in charge of our own destiny. I'm doing the same thing when Obama was in office as I'm doing when Trump's in office.
Agreed.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way as well.
It drives me nuts when people try to blame other people for what they're not achieving. You know what I mean? Like, sure, somebody
Yeah.
in office might help or hinder the condition of what you're trying to do,
Hmm.
but just because he's in office doesn't mean that the country's going to shit. We're in charge of the country. We're in charge of the jobs. We're in charge of the businesses. Like, if we want it to be prosperous, let's make it prosperous. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter who's in charge of our country, but it's not the sole purpose as to why it's going to succeed or fail.
Well, he's also the king of threatening things that would absolutely oppress a specific community, and at that point, that's fucked up. And then it's tougher for that community to then kind of be like, you know, I'm doing the same things that I'm doing, you know, with a previous president, but he never follows through. So it's this weird thing. I think people are starting to catch on that he's like, you know, I'm gonna send all Muslims outside the country, and there's a huge uprising.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't.
Has he
do it.
actually said that, or has the media said that?
See, and that's the other thing. Who knows?
Yeah,
because the
that's-
media has absolutely been working in tandem. So it's
I don't trust anything media related anymore.
Right.
I don't care who it is. That's why I generally, whenever we do this topic, current events, I always stay out of it, like, to a point, because it's just like, I'm doing me. I've got my life. Like, stuff like the Las Vegas thing is sad.
Right.
It's obviously very sad. Hugh Hefner, which is what Andrew's pulling up right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, stuff like that. But all this negativity,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's like, who
Right.
knows? Maybe Trump has done something really good that we're just not being told. We don't know. Sure,
Right.
he's an idiot. Sure, he does a lot of stupid stuff. If you don't like him as a person, I get that. But it's just like, you know what? I'm running a business.
Yeah.
I got my shit to do.
No, it's ultimately it's the attitude you should have.
Right.
But I mean, he does affect other people.
Of course. I mean, he's
But-
the leader of the free world.
So speaking of negativity, Neil, since Hefner died, people are like losing their mind. You know, they're debating was he the epitome of freedom and, you know, the American dream,
The
or was
epitome of
he a
freedom.
fucking
I don't know why I find that so
like
funny.
a sexist, you know?
No,
piece of
like,
shit?
you've seen any of the Playboy documentaries, the whole reason he did it was, like, empowering. And it was a very positive thing, the whole
Yeah.
reason why he started Playboy. He just so happened to have fucking fun while doing it, which
yeah,
is what
I
we all
personally
dream,
don't see
right?
anything wrong with it. I mean,
he did a great job
it is a little weird, but
of potentially
Just because it involves
creating
sex.
the creepiest empire of all. Like, if you were to sketch out that empire, that's the creepiest thing of all time. But he did a great job of doing it in a non-creepy way.
But why is
Right.
it creepy? That's
well,
my
just the
point.
idea of it, because
Just
I mean,
because
look
it involves sex.
at, right? Yeah, look at Larry Flint. Most people look
If
at
it were
that
any
dude.
other business, he'd be up there with Steve Jobs.
well, that's
Right.
the difference between Larry Flint and Hugh Hefner. You're right. It's like that's his name, right? Hugh
Yeah.
Hefner.
Yep.
Playboy
HH, as I like to call him when
was
I'm at the
like-
house.
you know, classy nudes,
Right.
right? Or classy quote,
Right.
With
That's how it started,
articles.
yeah.
Well, because the
Hunter
massive
Thompson wrote
difference
for
was Hustler was
buttholes.
yeah, it
and
would show
fisting and
asses and
Yeah.
vaginas. and-
Right.
yeah.
right.
That was a huge, and that's, you know, then you can jump into how humans are bizarre about sexuality and their own body anatomy that we all have.
Right,
and-
right. It's just a part. It is
Yeah.
weird. It's
Well,
super weird.
That's something that a friend of mine in college actually taught me. He was from Europe, and he made the distinction that in America we view sex as, you know, like this weird kind of creepy,
Mhm.
dirty kind of thing. In Europe, it's the opposite. Sex is like very standard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here, violence is very standard.
Yeah.
In Europe, violence is what gets banned.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the sex, because sex shows love.
Right.
But violence is like hate towards another person. But in any of our movies, you know, they show violence like that. But anytime there's a sexual innuendo, the rating goes up by like 20-fold.
Yeah.
It's the opposite in
And,
Europe.
well, and that's the huge. It's hilarious because America has kind of dubbed, just because of Larry Flint being like, let's show, you know, vaginas and asses and all that. Everyone's like, Hustler, that's Butthole magazine,
Yeah.
and then Playboy is like art.com. Like that
Art.com,
is
right.
all because you're leaving out these like
One
harmless.
harmless
Yeah, it's not a
parts.
big deal
Yeah.
at all.
at all.
It's
It is
shit
really
that hopefully most of us are seeing often, in the opposite sex or same sex or whatever it is. But then, it's only okay behind closed doors.
Jeez, so this article for the listeners, because this is an audio-based show, not visual, we're looking at a thing that says Jared Leto will play the Playboy mogul in Brett Ratner's planned project.
What is the
So
planned
he's-
project?
I would assume a movie. He's
Just
playing
like a
Hugh
biopic
Hefner,
or something.
the biopic already. God, that's crazy. That's a what? What do you?
We were
think
we were
about that?
talking
That's a
about it on the
weird-
break about how fast people adapt these fucking things.
Right,
Right.
yeah. Sorry, make money. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. That's one of those
strange
things.
casting,
Yeah.
or maybe it's not. I don't know.
One, I feel like we're not gonna. Oh, does it say it's gonna be through Amazon right there? Yeah, I don't
No
know.
way.
That's. I'd be interested in that, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not. Honestly, I loved Jared Leto in that movie Prefontaine that like no
Yeah.
one's seen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that movie.
Did you see Dallas Buyers Club?
I did not.
It's incredible.
I want to. That's on my list for sure.
Dude,
Still,
he-
I have a list of like
He's a
100
beast
movies in the
He's
last
so good.
2 years that I still need to watch.
So it's a documentary on Hugh Hefner, is what I'm gathering by reading this.
Yeah, that
This
makes sense.
story of Hugh Hefner, kind of
Yeah.
like they did the Silicon Valley one or whatever with Steve Jobs and Wozniak. And
Like a biopic, not a
Yeah.
documentary. But yeah.
yeah,
It's a-
that's what I
yeah,
mean.
right,
Sorry,
right.
yeah, my
It's
bad.
acted.
You're
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. A lot of good movies.
I'd
though.
be curious to watch that. Again, I don't know what Hugh looked like in his younger years. Maybe he looked exactly like Jay Leto.
Have you guys seen it?
I've seen it twice.
So have I actually.
Really?
I saw it at a
So
drive-in
then
theater.
I take it you love it.
So
I love it.
So
good
it's bizarre to me
Perfect.
that the hardest I've ever laughed in a theater was for it.
for a horror movie.
Really?
Like,
Well, it's
yeah,
not scary. It's a coming of age. It's like Stand
Right.
by Me.
But those kids, there's a couple. I think it's Rich. Is the he's the one with the
Yeah,
huge
the
glasses.
mouth kid.
Holy shit!
So
he's
funny.
got a couple lines that are so good. And then
Dude, watch
the,
out for that kid. He's gonna be something
Absolutely.
else.
Yeah, it was so phenomenal. And when I saw it, so my very first drive-in experience ever was recently, and it was for it, but it was a double feature, and before it was Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, I love you so much.
It was the most
That's
bizarre
like my hero.
coupling, but I loved it.
But it's kind of not.
Yeah,
That's what's weird about it.
it's true. At
It's
the
like
same time,
John Hughes, like
Yeah.
feel good.
It was good. I loved it. I've heard a
Me
lot
too.
of complaints for the new one, which I understand, but I don't fully support.
I
I love
neither.
the new Pennywise. I
Me too.
loved.
I'm right on board.
And then what's hilarious is that because I saw it with my girlfriend, and then right after that we went home and watched the original It. Just fuck it. Another 3-hour
It's a
movie.
little
Let's do
dated.
it. It's unbelievable how kind of just in comparison how awful it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like and
Oh,
it,
The
dude,
old
I
or the
mean,
new
we
one?
Literally
The old one.
couldn't
Oh.
agree more on this.
like the
Yeah.
writing, like not. I'm not
It's-
saying like the effects are dated. Of course.
So the
they're
new
dated,
one's
of
better
course.
than the old one. That's usually not the case.
Just in
Way better.
Yeah, in terms of like the character development, the writing.
More
It's-
accurate
it's
to the
based
movie.
off the
The
same
book.
Stephen King book, right?
Yep.
So where did they take the creative license to make it different?
They essentially, so it's kind of more of a prequel. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying
No.
this. It's more of a
It's a
prequel
valid
where
question though. Yeah.
yeah, where
It is
the
a prequel.
original kind of jumps back and forth between present day and their adults, and then the horrifying things they went through as kids.
Right.
The new
I've seen
one,
the old one, but not the new
The
one.
new one is all kids. So
Just them as
essentially,
kids.
yeah, essentially where the new one ends, the old one begins.
Oh.
That makes sense. It's all just the
Interesting.
kids' version of the story.
Which
Interesting.
is just
Yeah,
as a
it's great,
viewer,
man.
it made
So that means the second one would assume it's going to be that same cast, but as adults, right?
right. Yeah.
They're gonna make another one after that.
Fuck yeah, they
A
are.
sequel?
I mean,
Yeah.
they made it very clear.
And I fully support
won't
that
ruin the
because
ending,
this
but-
new one was essentially just a fat trimmed version,
Hmm.
and the fat was beautifully trimmed because in seeing
Agreed.
both of them back to back,
Agree.
they keep a lot of things almost frame for frame,
Yep.
the things that matter, but then they cut out some of the bizarre because the 1990 version is 3 hours long.
Of just like, why I don't
Horrible
need to watch 10 minutes
acting
of
and-
sitting in a library.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
But it was also a really good movie. But now that we have something to compare it to, the original It.
That,
Totally.
you're right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
and is still cool back in the
Yeah.
day, but comparatively, it's not even.
Well,
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
the
night
old
and
one is
day.
still absolutely necessary in terms of like
Necessary.
a cinematic history. I don't at all think it should have never existed, but
Of course.
but the new one is just it's very much a 2017
Yep.
and a brilliantly done 2017.
They did
version.
what every movie remake should be doing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the perfect way to say it.
Yeah.
They did the remake the right way.
Me and my wife saw a movie last night called Battle of the Sexes. Have you heard about this?
I have heard about it. Haven't
Andrew, can
seen
you
it.
pull that up, pretty please? And thank you. It's
Don't
it's,
encourage him.
It's awesome, dude. It's a true story about what's her fucking name? She was a tennis player, Billie Jean something.
Is not my lover.
King?
Billie Jean King. There you go. Yep, Billie Jean King. She was a female tennis player in the early 70s, and she was one of the first ones to stand up and demand that women were paid equal to men. And
wow.
dude, she was so ahead of her time. Just fucking badass chick. And anyway, Steve Carell plays like a dated tennis champ on the men's side of the world
Who's
who starts hearing about her, like talking about women's liberation, women's equality, and I won't ruin some stuff, but there is like some LGBT rights advocate stuff in there too with her. And so anyway, and it's a true story, so I'm not ruining anything. It's just fucking
right.
history.
Yeah, you could Wikipedia this.
But yeah, so anyway, he challenges her to a tournament.
Oh wow.
Like, and so then it's like dubbed man versus woman battle of the this happened.
Media friendly.
Like an arena full of people for this one tennis match. Dude, it's phenomenal. It's really well done.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Emma Stone plays Billie Jean King. It was really great, man. I really highly recommend it. It was quite a surprise, actually.
Oh yeah, keep that up. Showtime's for it. I gotta watch it. Go back to that real fast. Lloyd Center.
So you still haven't seen it?
No, I
Dude, I'll
deliberately.
go with you, man.
I deliberately don't watch new movies because I want to hear opinions first. I rarely, you know me.
Yeah, I do. You
I'm
don't
down here in this cave
consume
for
any pop culture.
99% of my life. I'll probably be dead down here, and no one will know I'm dead for probably a year and a half.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
It actually makes me excited because it does because I know I'm getting shit done.
There you go.
That's why
Yeah, boy.
positivity, law of attraction. 9:25 tonight.
Do
Looks
it.
like
Do it.
All right, Lloyd Center it is.
There you go.
There we go. How much is a movie ticket these days?
It's a lot, man.
Really? Last time I went,
It's like 10 plus, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
that's about right. Last time I went, it was like 8 something.
If you do like the living room theater where there's like massive recliners and they serve you food, I think it's like 12
Yeah, I want
to
the
14.
bar.
If you go at night, it's all.
Where's the
over
nearest
place.
movie theater that has like a full service bar that they bring drinks to you?
That'd be the Cinetopia, probably.
Yeah, you'd have
right?
to do a Cinetopia, which
Or
I
the
don't
living
know.
room downtown,
Yeah,
which I prefer. It's always busy, though. Yeah, I mean, tons of good movies. I mean, there's no excuse to not. I mean, and TV shows are on fire. Game
Oh,
of Thrones,
yeah.
fucking Narcos, like.
Curb just premiered.
Oh, that's I still haven't. Did
Oh
you watch
my
the first
God.
episode,
Yeah,
Andrew?
yeah.
I
Is
haven't
it good?
seen it either.
Is,
Fucking-
really?
Yeah.
Fucking thank
great.
God. Are you a
It's
fan
always
of that,
good.
Alan?
Huge fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Have you guys
good,
seen
good.
Long Shot, which has Larry David in it?
No.
So
No.
it's a
I've seen
guy.
that, yeah.
Oh my! I had to watch it because I've been looking forward to it for a month.
Is it a movie?
Yeah, it's like a quick documentary. I think it's like 45 minutes, 50 minutes long. A dude is essentially accused of a murder, and what gets him out of it is his appearance on a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, because he's at a Dodger game, and the Dodger vision is low. Like
Wait, I didn't hear the first. It's a documentary.
yeah,
this is
yeah,
real.
It's all 100% real. And
Are you
they're like,
kidding
you murdered this woman 100%. Like, he's being interrogated, and he's being. They
Oh
for
my
sure just
God.
want to say that he did it, just so the investigators can just make a kind of a quick, snappy job of him. Essentially, they just want to be able to go home. So they're like, yeah, you did it, right? And he's like, no, I would never do that.
Right.
And so he gets this attorney that's like, okay, I'm gonna find a.
That's his. What's that called? Your
alibi.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, we just got to get. So he gets a hold of like the senior marketing whatever dude for the Dodgers, and is like, give me all your tapes. I need to find my client. I need to place my client at this at the game. And he finds him, and he knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's him. But it's so pixelated, and the resolution sucks. He can't. It's not admissible in court. So
No
he's like,
way.
is there anything else you know about the game? And he's like, well, there was a film crew. And he's like, for what? And he's like, I don't know. And so he does some digging, finds out it was an HBO production.
For Curb.
Calls HBO and says, does this make sense? And the receptionist is going through their schedule for that year, which was years prior to this phone call.
Right.
She goes, yeah, it was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's incredible.
Which leads him to the producer. And then I'm not even going to say the rest because that alone doesn't exonerate him. But what happens after that is even crazier.
Is this an HBO documentary?
It's Netflix.
Dude, I'm watching that tonight.
It's fantastic. It's only 45 minutes. It's one of the
Fuck
best things
yeah,
I've ever
man.
seen.
That sounds rad.
Yeah.
It's already pulled up.
Is that a trailer?
Yep.
Turn that shit up, Drew. Or I guess you can't, can you?
Not yet.
Oh. We'll get there.
Hopefully
We
Yeah,
do
that shit
not
out
have
later.
the technology
Sorry,
yet
audience.
in the podcast.
It's great though. Long shot.
Okay.
Available now.
What else is going on? Have you watched any other good stuff or any?
I loved
content?
Ozark. I smashed through.
I started it and I liked it.
Yep.
I got to keep going.
I absolutely loved it, and it's
Yeah.
really hard. Kind of back to what Neil and I were talking about before the podcast with video games. I used to be a huge gamer, just do not have the time for it now. And TV shows are
'Cause
kind
you're
of
a
in
grown
that
man.
same zone.
Yeah.
To get me hooked on a TV show is borderline impossible these days.
Me too.
And Ozark did it.
Okay.
Like, I'm also just a huge, I'm a huge fan of what is his name? The main guy in it.
The actor,
Yeah,
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman. Yeah,
Okay, so are you Arrested Development guy?
huge.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
love it. Yep.
You're like my new best friend.
Yeah.
Did we just become best friends?
I honestly I was.
I also enjoyed Arrested Development.
like
well,
three,
I guess this is the Stateside podcast with James and Alan Ashcraft.
I'm just gonna go masturbate now.
Feels like enjoy the house. That's
Yeah.
But yeah, watch Ozark. Just smash through it. It's so good. It's set up for a second season, and I love
That's
it.
awesome, man. I can't wait. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I hear Narcos is just fucking rad. I watched the first half or something ish.
Yep. Yeah,
Don't
Narcos
really remember it.
That's all the rage at the office too.
Really?
Everyone there is watching it.
Andrew, what have you been up to, man? Any good shows? Any good things? Bands, stuff?
Playing music, man. Getting ready for my show October 21st at The No with Vibrisay.
Fuck yeah. So Andrew is also a drummer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a good drummer.
I've been wanting to check out the No for a while. That's like just a
Yeah,
tiny
just
joint.
reopened a while ago. Yeah,
Oh,
New
okay.
place.
Yeah,
Oh,
what's
It used
what's
to be
like
the Blackbird way back when, right there on Sandy.
Oh, okay. So
Down the street from the Tonic.
oh, okay.
This is the
perfect.
Tonic again.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Good
The tonic
Christ.
is the tonic again.
Yeah, I need to check that place out again too.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of the tonic, did you guys ever watch that show called Bar Rescue?
Yeah, I saw
Yep.
that.
Did you watch that episode?
Yeah.
of
What
the tonic?
what was the name of? They
Yeah.
switched it to a new.
It was like Fire Hazard or something.
Yeah, it
fucking
was,
silly.
No, I got it. It was
Something,
Panic Room.
Panic Room. Okay,
Yep.
I was fairly close-ish. It
I
was the
thought it was-
same.
It's kind of Disneyland in there. They had like a little light coming from.
Oh
the
yeah, it was silly as fuck.
stupid door with chains on it and shit.
But I love that guy, the host guy.
Oh, me
Dude,
too.
he's brutal.
Yep.
John something.
Yeah, I cannot remember.
John
his name.
Badass should be his name.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a bit. Neil, you like Bar Rescue, right?
What?
Neil's off mic.
I'm off the mic.
I guess that's a yes.
Hold on. I'll answer your question. Just give me a moment. Sorry, I was masturbating.
We're talking about Bar Rescue.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
no, dude. Like I keep telling you, we talk about Gary Vee a lot. My favorite episode on the Gary Vee show was with the bar rescue guy. I forget his name. I feel like an asshole, but
Can you look that up, AC? It's
What's
John. John. See it. Nope. John. Beep, boop, 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 boop.
if people listening have not heard of Gary Vee, James and I are huge fans. Have you heard, Alan, of Gary Vee?
Yeah, Vaynerchuk. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Huge. Yeah.
God, you
Everybody listening is required to go to YouTube or Instagram, wherever, and look up Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's next
Hi-
level.
Highly recommend.
James
Gary
and
Vee.
I are huge fans of Gary Vaynerchuk.
What's his fucking name? Still can't find it, huh? Oh, John Taffer. There it is. John Taffer.
But anyway, that episode
He's
is
a beast.
very cool because they talk
Yeah.
about business,
Yep.
kind of like
The whole
tricks
red
and tips that
napkin
you can
thing.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the red napkin trick specifically. If you watch it, pay attention to that. But what I like about it is like you can take that and apply it to the music world.
Fuck yeah, you can.
So what's your red napkin?
Yep.
So that's your homework. If anybody listening, go watch that episode and then figure out what your red napkin is. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, it's great, man. Yeah, Gary Vee has been a really huge influence for me the past 6 months or so. I mean, look,
Yeah.
he's a huge character. He's ego all day. He's, what he is what he is.
I love
To
it.
me, the most
To me,
valuable thing about him, and it's in the title of that video right there, 6 minutes for the next 60 years of your life.
I love
He's
it.
so great at
Just
just
fucking
letting you know
honest,
this isn't going
yeah.
to take long, but it's
Yeah.
going to be super valuable.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that, I think people are going to respond to that.
Look, his
so
whole
hard.
his whole take on like, what's his saying? Document, don't create.
Right.
Like in
He has
other
a
words,
lot of sayings.
He has a
so
lot of
yeah.
sayings, but and essentially just stop overthinking.
Yep.
Just you want to start a business, fucking do it. You want to start a podcast?
Yep.
Do it. Figure it out. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Yep.
Look, this might not be the best thing ever. We're learning. We're just doing it. We're figuring it out.
You know this whole YouTube rabbit hole I've been going down? You
Yeah.
call me every day. I talk about somebody new like Simon Sinek or all these people.
Yep.
It's because of you, James. You introduced me to Gary Vee, and I was like, I could look things up online about how to better myself.
Yeah.
And I was
There
like,
actually
holy shit.
value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've been like, how long ago did you tell me about him? Like months.
Yeah, when we first started to work together, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you
And then I
attached
finally
yourself
checked
to
him out a couple
Yep.
months after that, but it was like, holy shit. Like all the band, like
I highly recommend
if
it.
any of the bands I've ever worked with are listening right now, if you watch Gary Vaynerchuk, it's basically me like several years later.
Right, yeah.
Like it's
Dude.
crazy. I love this guy more than anything.
Dude, I agree, man.
I've been doing him, but he does it better than I do.
Well, and I like
So.
that it's just like everyone, whether it's a company, you're making socks, or you're making lollipops, or you're a band, or you're a label, or you're a management company,
Or Playboy Mansion.
doesn't matter what it is. You have to be your own media agency.
Yeah.
You have to promote.
In 2017 with
2000
Instagram, and this is
Yeah,
a whole
you
podcast
don't have
conversation.
to, but
yeah.
it's just. I mean, look, everyone exists on their phone, and you have to get people's attention.
And you
It's
don't
one
need
of the
a
reasons we started the podcast. I
Yeah.
want people to know we exist. I want to talk about what we're doing. That Stateside is a service. We represent producers, and we're here to work. Like
we're here to change the industry,
we're,
basically.
yeah, we're here to make our own drop in the
Like-
bucket and do our thing. And
Yeah.
so, like, yeah, he's just been a huge influence
yeah.
for sure.
But that's the like it's a little tidbit. But yeah, like, in 2017, this goes into the label thing we were talking about earlier. Why do you need them? Like if like the family thing that Alan pointed out, that's clutch. But at the same time, if you're a DIY band, you don't want a label because there's a lot of people out there that don't.
Yeah.
You
there's
literally
nothing wrong
like the Gary Vee. I give all credit to Gary Vee because I've learned all this from him. But like Facebook is the new MSNBC. Like Instagram is the new
Yes.
CNN.
Yes.
Like these are media outlets. Like
Yes.
yeah, like
I love that.
I believe that 10 years from now, because a lot of my generation does not watch TV.
Right.
10 years from now, there isn't going to be a CNN or a
Dude,
Fox.
no,
or
you're absolutely right. And it's the phone is
it's
our TV.
Instagram,
right?
it's
Yep.
Facebook, it's all this
100%.
stuff. Like I'm
Yep.
terrible at
How-
at the social media,
how
but
did
I
you
understand
guys-
the importance
How'd
of
you
it.
guys hear about the Vegas shooting?
Weirdly
Instagram.
enough, I actually did hear it on TV, which is incredibly
God damn
rare
it,
for
Alan,
me.
You're ruining
I'm
my
sorry,
whole
yeah.
point.
But see, he knows it's rare.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Super rare.
that's true.
Yeah.
This
know
is
it's
our
rare.
generation.
Yeah.
Like you're a little bit older, I'm a little bit younger, you're in the middle of us. And it's spanning that far already.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our children are what the fuck is
Oh,
CNN?
dude, yeah. What?
You
Yeah.
TV you
You
used to have
waited for a time to watch your show and you couldn't record it, and if you weren't there at that time, you missed it.
you had to
What
rent
the
a
fuck are you
box to
talking
watch
about?
it. You had to plug it into your wall.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so anyway, so like and now is the time to get on it. Like you preach this to me, James, all the time, and I'm terrible at it. I need to get better at it. But it's the Gary Vee thing again. Like 10 years from now, you're going to wish you started your own YouTube channel kind of idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because pretty
I-
soon people are going to start charging.
And the thing is, like, don't
For
overthink
YouTube
it. Again,
names.
like,
Yeah,
one of
just
the
do
things
it.
I love that he brings up is like, what is your, focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses.
Yep.
And so, what is your thing? Is it
Yeah.
written word? Are you a writer? Is it image? Are you are you good on camera?
Are you the guy in the band
an
that's good at
audio guy?
numbers?
Yeah. And so for me, I'm a chatty Cathy. I love talking, and
Yeah.
talking has always been my thing. Gift of gab. I'm a communicator.
Yeah, you
So-
flap your mouth quite a bit.
Yeah, I talk. I'm a talker.
That's
And
why I
so,
like you, though.
Well, let's just talk into a microphone.
Yeah.
Let's start a
Yep.
thing, and that thing's called the podcast.
That's how it started. You and I were talking on
Oh,
the
I
phone
know.
for hours at a
And
time.
we're like, we
Yeah.
might as well just start recording this.
And we kept
For
like,
fuck's sake.
remember that Gary Vee episode? And you're like, oh, remember that Gary Vee?
Yep.
And then we were just like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's like 2 hours later. And I'm like, fuck, I need to go eat or something. But yeah, it's like, why not we
absolutely.
just record it?
Yep. So I mean, it doesn't have to be a YouTube. It doesn't have to be a podcast. It doesn't have to be a blog.
But find the
just
one you like.
Find the one thing you are good at and do it.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it-
a huge thing with Gary Vee, for me, something that resonated huge with me was not waiting for something to be perfect, just be fast
Yes.
with it.
Speed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
get it out quickly, don't get it out perfectly.
Yes.
Because I am the king of it's
too.
not ready yet.
It's not ready.
And then-
Perfectionism.
It's gonna be perfect.
Yep.
And then
The
what
lighting's not
happens?
good.
It never comes out.
Then I'm never.
Yep.
No matter what it is, it just
Or
never
you
comes
miss
out.
the deadline and you get a fucking rap anyway.
Yeah.
And then it still comes out not as
Some-
good as you want.
Yep.
And the other thing, like, it's to that speed conversation. That is really applied to macro versus micro.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the micro, it's all about speed.
Yeah.
Like day to day, just get shit done, do things all day, quickly, like pump it out.
Yep.
But on a macro, like take a step back, bird's eye view. What's my goal? What's
Yeah.
my vision?
Right.
Am I still on track? Who do I want to work with? You know, where am I in 5 years?
So
All of that stuff.
So the Simon Sinek guy that I keep telling you about, who you need to check out.
I will.
He made an interesting, I guess you'd call it a metaphor. But anyway, he's like, humans, if you have a clear direction, humans can do remarkable things, but if you don't have a clear direction, they get obsessed with the route. And the example that he gave was, if you're standing in this room, for example, and you're standing in a corner, and I tell you to walk from that corner to that corner in a straight line,
Right.
you'll start walking. And then I put a chair in front of you.
Right.
You walk around the chair.
Right.
But if I were to tell you, if you're staying in that corner, I said, walk in a straight line somewhere, and you're like, where do you want me to go? It's like, I don't know, anywhere. You're smart. Figure it out. And so you start walking in an arbitrary direction, and then I put a chair in front of you. You come to a grinding halt.
Right.
So if that's off your point, if you have a destination, we as human beings can get there. But if you're walking with kind of not clear about where you're trying to go,
Right.
any obstacle in your way is going to stop you at a grinding halt.
Yeah.
Or if once you leave for that destination and you just have an expectation that 0 chairs are going to be in your way.
Yep.
I think
That's a good. I like
that's
that.
a problem
That's
with a lot of people is that I need to even with a podcast I need to start a podcast.
Right.
And it could very well be as easy as I need to start it.
But start it.
Then maybe you run into a producer issue. First person you call to be a producer, I can't, I'm busy with it. Okay, that's an obstacle. Now
Right.
you got to call a second guy.
Right.
You know, or you don't have a venue. So now do you rent out this studio space or do you – and there's going to be all these little chairs that you have to – and I do honestly think some people fool themselves into thinking it's that easy.
Right.
Just start a podcast.
Right.
And then they hit that first obstacle and they go, fuck this.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because they don't have a clear destination in
Right.
mind. What are you
they-
trying to achieve?
Or they're
with
just
what you're trying
overthinking
to
up
do?
front. They're
Yeah.
trying to figure out all those chairs and obstacles in the way.
That's
prior
another
to
way, yep.
starting.
Mhm.
You can think of some. Like it's probably a good idea to be like, okay, we need the mics, we need this, we need Andrew, we need the mix, whatever. You come up with all that stuff ahead of time, and how do you upload to iTunes? We gotta
You
learn
prepare
how to
as best as you
to
can,
the best
Yeah.
you can.
but when you have the clear destination,
Yeah.
the chairs don't
I
matter.
always use this example when I actually got hired to bartend at the Crystal Ballroom, which is a almost 2,000 capacity venue. I had never bartended a day in my life. I got the job through a friend, kind of thing, a hookup. I had waited tables for the same
Bill Gates
company.
didn't have an OS.
Yeah, and so basically, like, I started my first night. It was a sold out show, as busy as the venue could possibly get, and I was put at the busiest bar in the venue. Not just the busiest bar, but the busiest point at the venue. And my
Right.
manager did that on purpose. He's like, "All right, good luck,
Just trial by fire.
peace."
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I've never even, and I
Figure it
learned
out.
bartend in 24 hours. Like,
Yep.
legitimately was like, this is imprinted in my brain now. Lemon drop, margarita, fucking cosmopolitan. I'm so thankful for that night. It was brutal, kind of sucked. It was really stressful.
You probably hated him at the
I
time.
hated him. I was really embarrassed. It was like the worst, but god damn it, I'm so thankful for that experience.
Yeah, people need that. Get
Yeah,
put
man.
into an uncomfortable because
Fuck
that's
yeah.
it's so uncomfortable to show you who you are to yourself. So sometimes you need
Yep.
that outside person
yeah.
to make you do that. To
That's
no,
right.
you're gonna do because you would never just elect to put yourself in that situation.
Everybody doubts
No.
themselves more than they actually
I think I
are.
would
Yeah.
more today. Not to
Right.
pat myself in the back, but
Right.
since I'm a little bit wiser and I've been through that.
But you wouldn't be this much wiser if it wasn't for that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amen.
And that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Like, if you get put there's always two sides to every story, so to speak. So
Yeah.
if you get put in a shitty situation, you can either sit there, bitch, and complain about it, or you can look at it as an opportunity to learn something.
That's right. Make the best out of it. Yeah, I mean,
When
doing
something's tough, you're about to learn something. You should
Yep.
be excited. You shouldn't be nervous. You shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't be anxious.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like the whole life. It's I want to forget the saying, but it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. I mean, it's just true. You can't fight it.
Yeah.
Sort of
this-
contradicts what I was just saying. But
No.
it's in a different aspect.
No, what I'm saying is the
Right.
whole point of it is to learn as you go, and that's what you gain to going
Right.
through those trials. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're on your clear route to your clear destination, all those chairs, you learn from the chairs. That's
Yes,
kind of what that
yes.
means from my analogy.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You want to pick the destination. You want to have a clear path of where you're going.
I was joking.
That
But
should
I
be the
know what
first
you were
stateside podcast shirt is learn from the chairs.
I love it.
That's your guys' first slogan.
He's gonna
Learn
design
from the
it.
chairs.
Out
Maybe
of
that's the name
context
of
There
makes
you go.
zero sense. Just makes you guys sound like psychopaths.
Yeah.
Learn from the chairs.
Well, what was that that big YouTube sensation with the gecko and the dude tripping on acid?
Oh,
Not
yeah,
my chair, not my
the,
problem.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Not my chair. That's what I say. Dude, that shit was so weird.
Dude,
man.
that's the context for our shirt now.
I heard that was actually not true. He wasn't
There
actually
it is.
tripping on acid.
I don't care. It's
See, you
hilarious.
never
That
know.
it was a comic.
That's
it was
the
a guy
beauty
just
of it.
being funny.
See, either story is fantastic.
Either story is hilarious.
This fucking
It's one of the
video.
funny, and that's like early YouTube.
I know. Dude, I binged on this. Dude, this was a fad
so
amongst my
fucking
friend
funny.
group for like months.
I'm all about his bitchy posture
Yeah.
with his.
Not
Whoever
my
did the
chair, not my
animation was
problem, that's what
genius.
I
It's
say.
so good.
Stilst.
Now back to Alan. Do you do any animation stuff like that? Do you do
I
any video
don't.
stuff?
No.
When a music video comes in or is thought about, do you have any hand in that?
Nope, that's not me. The other designer had just out of necessity picked up After Effects, but he's such a quick learner. He was just like, "Yeah, dude, I'll figure this out." Just like it was like an errand, like run into the bank, like, "Yeah, let me go. I'll just." And now he's knocking out listening videos and
Yeah.
and just all these cool little video edits and stuff. I've always wanted to get into it, but it's hard to discipline myself to say no to a few projects to open up the time
Right.
to get into After Effects or Premiere or whatever.
Yeah, you had talked about it early on in the podcast, but how often are you working on the side, your independent stuff? I know you're pretty selective because you don't have a lot.
40-hour a week type of job. At
Yeah, I
Rise.
mean, there have been days that are 16-hour days,
Sure.
and 10 of them were at Rise.
the
for
music
sure.
industry is not
Right.
9 to 5.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
Right.
It just comes down to if I get hit up for something that's I was hit up to do merchandise for Wu-Tang Clan, and I was like, I'm just not going to say no to that, you know. And
What does that mean? Talk about that.
yeah, it's usually just it's if it's not their label, then it's some sort of like a merchandiser. Designers love working for merchandisers because you get what's called a kill fee. So just to submit, you know,
Kill fee.
Yeah, what is
badass
that?
name.
yeah,
I
they
wish I
might
could
so they
say
might
that.
say like the band wants to see
We should
you know
adopt it.
4 designs. So you submit 4 designs and you get 50% of the money for each of those. So if the full approval is $300 per design, you get $150 for everything you submit, whether it's approved or not. Then if it's approved, you get the remaining $150, or you
What's
get
the
the
benefit
remaining-
of that?
Is that your design
So
there?
yeah. So
Oh, that's
you
dope.
you essentially get money right out of the gate. So
Shut up, Andrew.
like
I'll take
if Neil hit me up for merch and he's like, I want 3 designs, I send him 3. He pays me $150 for each of the 3 designs. So
But what's the
$150
incentive to me for doing that?
You know, honestly, I was talking to a designer buddy of mine yesterday, and there's kind of nothing. I think it's a level of professionalism where it's like, these are the big leagues, and we're only asking you to do it because we know your work is good. And one of the benefits of working with us
Gotcha.
is that you get this kill fee. Because
That's
they're,
really cool.
they're working at that point. If you're working with a merchandiser
We don't
like
see that in the producer industry.
No, not at all. You don't see that in a lot of industries.
We should try to figure out how to adapt that.
Yeah, it's nice because for somebody like me that just literally doesn't have the time to submit stuff in hopes that it gets approved, and then therefore I hope that I get paid.
That's like a producer doing a free test mix.
Yeah, like I just couldn't possibly do that right now. I could have, 5 years ago.
Right.
So for me to say yes to that, I have to get that kill fee, and I think that's the same with tons of designers.
And that's what you call it, a kill fee.
Yeah, it's a kill fee, submission fee.
So like you submit 3 designs in this scenario, you get paid $150 each.
Yep.
And then you get a call that's like, "Hey, we picked yours," and another $150 shows up.
Correct.
Now, what's the incentive to, like, if they just get everybody to send it in for $150, they use one and not tell the guy?
Well, yeah, that would be illegal because you have a contract with them typically.
Gotcha.
That states that that's not the case.
Since Andrew has it pulled up, did you do anything on the issues record?
Yeah, I did the whole layout.
I love that.
Yeah, I didn't do
It's
this
so
this
clean.
painting. They supplied that painting. It was actually a full. I had to cut it out. There's actually a whole other chunk.
Oh, gotcha.
It's
But we just
gorgeous.
thought it looked good, kind of isolated against white, and then go like a gold foil for the logo.
yeah.
Yeah, did that full for LP and CD.
Now those like Crummett and the bands and all that, they get those Billboard charting
Yeah.
plaques. Do you have any design in those?
No, I think the company that supplies those designs those.
Oh, okay,
As
but
far as I
they
know.
take the artwork that somebody
Yeah,
like you
correct,
has
yeah.
done, and okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
they'll take print files and stuff and do their thing with those.
Gotcha. For those of you listening, us producers sometimes get plaques too.
I know.
I
I
want
wish,
a plaque.
I wish designers would get them. We
Yeah,
definitely
really.
deserve them less, but if there was ever an extra one floating around, I'm not mad at
Are
it.
there? You know how they
deserve
have
it
like the
less.
Grammys and the Emmys and all that stuff? Is there any sort of graphic design awards?
Well, it's funny you ask because there was talk of me being submitted. We did submit of Mice and Men Cold World for album artwork of the year. The Grammy Association.
Really?
Yeah, the Grammy
Andrew,
Association
can you pull
came
that up,
to
maybe?
came to Rise, or we were given the opportunity to submit to the Grammy. I don't know how it worked, but there was talk of it, and it just didn't happen. And if it would have, I wouldn't have even have cared if I won, because just being able
So
to
there is such a thing, though.
yeah album art, because I think it went to I don't know how you say the band name, Bon Iver.
Oh
Bon
yeah,
Iver.
Bon
Bon
Iver,
Iver,
yeah.
I believe it went to that designer, which is very
But yours didn't get submitted.
no didn't get
So
didn't
yours
get
would've-
nominated.
Oh,
It
okay.
was submitted. We ended up
Okay.
sending them physical copies, and
That's pretty cool.
but I mean it's I saw the nominees and they're all mind.
What was the record?
Sure.
Art. What was the album? Andrew's looking it up.
It was Of Mice and Men Cold World.
Cold World. I want to see this. That was the one with the crazy booklet you were talking about.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I collaborated with this super old Italian sculptor, and he was
Oh wow.
he was almost
that's really
impossible
gorgeous.
to get a hold of on the phone because I had to call his art gallery, and when they answered,
Whoa, look at that.
the person was speaking Italian,
Right.
so I just had to say Robert Custerli, contact, and just trying to use like broken English
Wow.
essentially.
Now,
and
whose
I-
idea was it? Why was the band's idea to get in touch
Yeah.
with that guy?
Yeah, Tino, the drummer for the band, he sent us some example images and was just like, "This is badass. Like we should work with this." So I went through his whole portfolio, and I
Oh,
was
so
like,
you took the initiative to actually contact the guy himself.
"Yes, yeah." Once they
Holy
liked
shit.
him, I was like, "Well, I'm not just gonna like rip his stuff, or let me get a hold of him and I'll get the high res."
This
and-
is that family you were talking about earlier.
exactly. Yeah. So I was like, "All right, let me."
Taking that kind of initiative, that's fucking rad.
Yeah, because I feel like if I was
Is that a picture of a sculpture? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So those are real people that he. I want to say he paints them
That is
to look like
fucking badass.
sculptures, and then he treats them a little bit in Photoshop, and then I took those images, treated those myself. I cut them out because they had a background, cut them out and kind of like fitted them, and there's just a full layout with I think 3 different sculptures that are all like kind of creepy and cool.
That's killer, man.
Yeah, it was a really intense project, but it turned out really awesome.
So you guys are working still out of Beaverton, right?
Yeah. Yep, we're still there.
What time you have to typically get there?
It's pretty loose because I tend to stay real late, so they kind of
Yeah.
they look
know
at me
you're gonna
like
put in your time
whenever
and-
you got if you got to get here at 10 a.m. we know you're staying until like
As long as
9
you get done
p.m.
what we need to get done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Was today a little rough for you to try to get out a little early?
not really. No, because I had gotten almost everything that needed to be done. A lot of like social assets. We had like some tour announcements and stuff.
Yeah.
Got those done real early.
Nice.
And I got in kind of early too, so it wasn't too bad. But I'll get in anywhere from 7:30 to like 9 o'clock.
Cool.
Sometimes 9:30 if traffic is weird. So
Right.
it's not too bad. And I'm
Yeah.
able to work from home. I just recently went through this weird headache of because I have a Mac Pro there with dual monitors, but then at home I have an iMac. So but in comparison, in terms of computing power, my home rig is like a Honda Civic,
Yeah.
and then at work is like a Ferrari. So
Right.
I'm like,
the
is there a
the
way-
resolution's probably way different too.
Yeah, 100%. And just everything just so smooth on that Mac Pro. So I'm like, can I take, and the Mac Pro is like a little wastebasket, like it's a little garbage can looking thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder if I can take that, hook that into my iMac. And everything I looked up on Google was like, yeah, you just need a Thunderbolt cable. And it
Nice.
seemed so simple, but then there was like 4 hours of troubleshooting
Yep.
with weird things like that you don't think about. Like, well, my mouse is Bluetooth for my iMac. So when I go into target display mode to use my Mac Pro, but then use the monitor of my iMac, my mouse is going to
Yep.
my iMac, but now I need it to go to my Mac Pro, and
Right.
it's confused because it's
Right.
Bluetooth. And I'm just like, maybe
It's
this
not
is going to
worth
be
it.
impossible.
Yeah.
But I had my ego to help me through the 4 hour
So you
troubleshooting
are ready
session.
to work from home?
Yeah. Oh, I'm golden now.
for you,
I have
man.
like a legit setup. I can plug it in like 2 seconds and
How often are you doing that?
all the time now.
That's
I
Well,
love
yeah,
it.
I was gonna ask. So
Good
what?
for you.
So you being a graphic designer, all the files are being delivered and sent basically digitally.
Yeah.
Is there a point for you having an office now?
I mean, yeah, just company being
Yeah,
there.
I would say I
imagine. But yeah, it's a good question.
100% could work from home all the time, but there is something to be said, and I highly value that face-to-face time with my coworkers.
Absolutely.
In terms of, I love sitting with supervisors and being like, all right, explain exactly what you need, and they can go.
There's nothing that makes up for that.
Right,
Yeah.
and they're just like, it obviously is better for them to
Yeah.
know that I'm there. I'm not
there.
just getting a
Sitting
check,
in your
but I'm a
PJs,
ghost. Yeah,
Eating Cheetos,
Right.
yeah.
and I also just love everyone I work with, so it's just so
Yep.
easy to like. It legitimately 9 times out of 10 feels like I'm showing up to like some private clubhouse
Yeah.
that me and all my friends have, but we're also just cranking out
Cranking
cool
out rad
work.
stuff.
And, yeah,
That's
Which
what-
just
that's so cool, man.
reinforces the awesome feelings.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
I've never taken a sick day, and I never will, because the idea of missing a day
Why- yeah.
for something
You
like
just
that.
fucking yourself
It's
over.
sad.
Yeah, I'd be like, no,
because you
thank
enjoy it.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Well, your friends are there and stuff.
So
Yep.
you have a girlfriend, right?
I do.
Long term thing.
Yeah, it's I think December will be a year.
Nice.
So
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, we met on Tinder, which she hates. She hates saying that, like it's not romantic enough.
Isn't it like what's the percentage of people that meet on?
Oh,
The
online
last
stuff?
like probably 20 people I've talked to have all been off
Yeah.
of Tinder.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem
That
with
is
it.
so not something.
I get the vibe when
I
she's
know
with
about.
me, and I tell
know.
people I feel like she wishes I like saved her from like a shark attack, and then we fell in love
Yeah,
right
that
there on the
standard
shore.
like
AC, can you look that up? How many people today meet on?
See what that
online
statistic is.
dating.
it's a lot
I think-
more.
yeah,
You're
it's
gonna
like-
be surprised.
I bet I am.
It's
dude.
basically the standard way of doing things
I mean, it
now.
makes
You don't go out
sense.
to a bar to meet people anymore. In
Right.
fact, I went out to.
You're a creep if you do now.
This was
It's
several months ago,
Jesus.
but I was attempting the dating thing again, failed miserably. But anyway, so I went out to meet a Tinder date. It didn't go well. It was nothing bad. It was just like a mutual non-attraction. So I was at the Radio Room. If you've been there,
I
Yeah,
have once.
Draper, my good
Yeah,
friend
so
Michael
it's-
Draper used to work there.
pretty cool bar. But so I'm up there and I'm like, like thinking in my head, fuck it, I'm at a bar. This is how people traditionally would meet back in the day. So I'd go up to people and just try to strike a conversation. They didn't have it. Like
Yeah.
you do not go up to a random group of people or an individual in a public place anymore. It is like considered extremely rude.
That's so fucking.
Yeah, you're a
weird.
threat at that point.
Yeah, you're
Andrew,
like,
just-
what the fuck do you
Andrew,
want?
type in just percentage of people. Literally, just say percentage of people.
I love that stat that I
that
just
meet.
saw. Percentage of Tinder users that are single, 54%.
Yeah, because it's a hookup site.
That's incredible.
A lot of people just use. I mean,
So
most
it's just a
people.
fuck?
So yeah,
Yeah.
almost half of the people on Tinder have somebody in the bed next to them that maybe they've been with for
Right.
long term.
Yeah.
Good Lord Almighty.
Well, that could be too. Like people that have been on Tinder, they meet on Tinder, and then they just start ignoring their app.
Right. Yeah.
I know a lot.
That's
of people
actually
like
that's a
that.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you, I mean, this is a whole other social conundrum, but when you start dating somebody you meet on Tinder, do you delete your Tinder app? Is that the right thing to do?
Right.
40% of Americans use online dating.
Yep.
52.4% men, 47.6% women. Age of impact.
The demographic.
Wow. 53% of people lie on their online dating profile.
I think it's a
See,
lot
that's
more than that.
fucking weird, man.
I think it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. That is so-
Can't tell you how many times I met up with.
Oh, there it is. Okay, 20% of current committed relationships began online.
That's way lower than I would have thought.
But that's also current.
Well, it's
so
only new.
Wait, 10 years. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
gonna be-
I mean, online dating is still a fairly new phenomenon,
Yeah. True.
Oh,
and it's
fuck
only
yeah.
hitting.
Well, think about all those things that are like that. Like 5 years ago, if I told you that your, girlfriend's gonna get into a stranger's car and you're
Right.
gonna pay them money to
Yeah.
drive you somewhere,
Yep.
like
yeah.
Uber is a crazy idea.
It really.
But yet,
is.
when I walk up to a group of people at a bar, I get viewed at as a creep.
Yep.
That's weird.
That's just the way the world is changing.
You got to start waiting for them to come out of the
I don't know how
bar
I
and
feel
pick them
about
up in
that.
your car.
Yeah,
Then you're not a creep anymore.
yeah,
that's the secret.
that's nuts. So do you live out here in Portland, or where do you live?
Yeah, so now I just moved in with her, and we are in like northeast Portland.
Nice.
So I was in Southwest, so It's really nice. Like I
Northeast
walk out.
Portland.
It's not
Yeah.
too far
What
from
part?
here.
So we're on. I guess I don't really know parts of Portland. We're by New Seasons. I know that we're maybe 20 minutes walking from Moda. So we're up
Oh.
like Williams. Like we're up.
Yeah.
we're-
Oh,
Okay.
it's by Stefan's studio.
Sort of, kind of. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
actually it's
Yeah, okay.
not too far from that. I could probably get there in like 10 minutes
Walking.
walking.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so
North of
we're
that.
we're up in it. Like
Cool.
it's really nice to be like, you want to go get food, and we just step
It's the
out.
zone. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
And,
Like
and
Stefan
rent
left
is
the house.
it's cool because our landlord lives underneath us, like it's a 2-story, and we're in apartment B, which is above him, and he's it's funny because he's a bassist, but not like the bassist that we would all think. He's a old timey like stand up bassist.
No shit.
Oh, nice.
And it's hilarious because it's not even that cool. Like it's literally at like, and if he hears this, he's gonna be just livid with me probably.
It's okay.
But
No one listens to this. It's fine.
It at like 3 a.m. it'll just be boom 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 for like 3 hours.
Really?
For 3
The
hours.
complete opposite of what you'd picture as having a downstairs
It's not
neighbor
even
as a
like
bass player.
if like Les Claypool lived under me,
Right.
that's fine. But just 2 notes for
Right,
from
right.
3 a.m. to 6 a.m. I'm just like, that's
Oh, that's
insane, man.
brutal,
I
man.
can't hang.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, we are approaching 2 hours. We should probably wrap this up.
It's funny. I was about to say the exact same thing you were
Yeah.
going to say.
I finally have to pee, so this is perfect.
Excellent.
Well, let's first of all thank you for coming
Yeah.
on.
Thank you guys.
Well, I think if as long as you're willing to, I'd love to have you on as much as possible.
Oh,
I think you're
all
this
day,
is really
yeah.
rad.
I'm
cool.
super into it.
and like I was saying off air, I think it'd be rad if we hired him to do the logo.
Fuck
I'm
yeah,
all
dude.
about it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we'll,
guys
we'll,
just
We'll
talk
talk.
about
Yeah,
that.
we'll talk
Chat
and see
about
what
it.
that would entail. But
Cool,
yeah,
man.
Yep.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Like, say the website again one more time.
Yeah, so the website is just itcamefromthesky.co. I think I also have alanashcraft.com, and I believe I have alanashcraftsucks.com.
Really?
So if I have that, use that third one. Can you check? Yeah, see if
That's
I have
incredible.
sucks. I'm almost positive.
can you spell her last name by the way for
Is
some?
it all actively updated?
Yeah, it should all literally point to this.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
alanashcraftsucks.com. No.
Nope, he doesn't
dang
own it.
I gotta fix that.
So it's just Alan Ashcraft.
Yeah, Alan
.com.
Ashcraft. So it's ASHCRAFT. A lot of people say Ashcroft, which is fair because
Right.
it's more common. But it's ASHCRAFT. But yeah, just itcamefromthesky.co.
Cool.
It's still, I have a lot of like lorem ipsum in a lot of these captions for some of my artwork, but
Right.
I'll get to it when I'm not slammed. I
And
don't
then
know.
social media is It Came From the Sky as well?
Yeah, almost all of it is
Okay.
just It Came From the Sky. So
any work you would in like maybe 4 or 5 pieces that you would point people to check out that you're proud of?
Man, yeah,
I'm sure
some
there
of
are
it
a
is like
ton, though.
non-commissioned. Like, I ended up doing it was semi-commissioned. I was asked to do some stuff for Travis Scott's upcoming album, but also
rad.
isn't upcoming. It's there's been an album from him that's been rumored. I want to say for the past 2 years, called Astro World. He's even confirmed that it's gonna happen.
Fuck yeah, man. One of the guys I represent, Ryan Lewis,
Oh, okay.
he worked with a rapper named Drom,
Yep. Yeah.
and Drom just got off tour with Travis Scott and
Right.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. Drum was
And
on.
they're killing it, man.
When Drum was on tour, I want to say a year or 2 years ago, he had like some off dates, and he recorded with my buddy Matt, who is an engineer at Black Diamond Recording Studio.
in LA.
Oh, I've
or-
met
No,
Matt.
in
North Carolina?
Portland.
Yeah, I've met
Oh,
Matt.
okay,
Yeah.
Just
cool.
hits me up. He goes, "You know who Drum is?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, he's in the studio right now."
I've
I'm like,
never
"Are you
met
serious?"
Drom,
Rad.
but all the working with his management,
Yep.
and dude, the nicest group of
That's
people.
all I've
possible.
heard too.
And Ryan's
Yeah.
just like, he's just a fucking sweetheart.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly what Matt said.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, Travis Scott might.
Yeah. So
maybe
Travis
sorta
Scott
happen.
art. It's been blowing up on the internet. Me and a buddy of mine that I'm working with. I can plug his stuff. His name's Kid Camera, and he was a photographer for Travis Scott and some other huge names in hip hop. He kind of came to me and was like, "I got an idea. I want you to kind of be the dude to push the pixels, and I want to go spacey with it." And Astro World is all about a now defunct theme park out of Houston. It survived. I think it was only up for like 11 years, 12 years. And Travis Scott as a kid frequented that establishment, and that's kind of what this album's going to be about. So we got
That's
to get
great.
the roller coaster in there, get spacey with it.
No way.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm just a huge hip hop fan, so I have like a weekend piece for his album Starboy, and obviously Wu-Tang merch, and
Yeah.
but then I go the other way with I'm working on stuff for Alice in Chains and just finished stuff for Korn.
What?
Yeah,
Motherfucker.
yeah, all over the place,
No,
always
but,
hustling.
He's legit. He's
Always
the best.
hustling.
Oh, I knew
There's
he's
a reason
legit, but
he's on.
god damn it.
Yeah,
No, he's
He's having fun.
killing it, man.
doing it. Yeah,
It's great, man.
it's a dream.
That's awesome.
It is. And again, you found your corner.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you're
I'm
working
paying
in
attention in
music.
class.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right,
Yep.
man.
100%.
Back to
That's
the
right.
analogy.
I
Yep.
love it.
Yeah, just because you
Cool.
you suck at math and the teachers hate you doesn't mean you can't be successful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Neil, where can they find you on socials?
Find me. Why do they care about me? Alan's in here. He's working with Korn, and
Because you're a producer I represent, and people want to know.
so Instagram is Neilio Engel, NeilioEngle.
There you go.
That's mostly what I'm on, but yet still rarely.
You can find me personally at James I Mac, or am I James Ian now?
Oh
I should
my
probably
God!
know
Come
my
on,
own.
professional.
Yeah, James Ian Macmillan. And then you can find Stateside at Stateside MGMT. Andrew is off mic, but Andrew is a rad drummer in a couple bands. He is Don't Mind If I Drew.
Oh,
Is
that's
that correct?
good. That's good.
Don't Mind If I Drew on Instagram. That's a good account. A lot of pictures, funny videos. And he posts a lot of stuff on the podcast there as well. StatesideMGMT.com is where you can find us. We are a service. We represent music producers. If you're a band looking to work, give us a shout out. Thanks again, Alan.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you
it,
guys.
man. We'll do it
Absolutely.
again soon.
Such a blast.
Love
All right.
it.
See ya. Peace.